Konoha. Naruto's Abnormal Life Choices author. Mingyu Guhong. Summary. The little yellow-haired Naruto Uzumaki, whose soul traveled through time and space, was bound to a not-so-serious life selector. On the first day of class, you should greet your classmates enthusiastically. Please make your choice. Option 1. Good morning Hinata-chan, are you interested? Option 2. Good morning, Sakura and your wide forehead. I will give you a chance today. Option 3. Ino-chan, if you dance for me now, I can reward you. Option 4. Ya, I heard your sister is pretty, you'd better introduce her to me. Naruto. Chapter 1. The other party has a daughter. In the 63rd year of Konoha, a strong wind swept across the land, blowing away the green leaves and dropping them on the heads of many people. A soul from afar quietly arrived here and took over the body of a yellow-haired boy. The wide streets are filled with irregular 1 to 3-story houses of various styles, and between the houses are narrow and crowded alleys, just like a maze, making it difficult for outsiders to find their way around. In one of the old alleys there was a row of small commodity stores that had been open for more than 30 years. The thin, yellow-haired Naruto Uzumaki was lying peacefully on the ground, without any movement. The discomfort in his body made him unable to move. The noisy noises around him were like maggots crawling in his ears, making him feel nauseous and uncomfortable. As the little fox demon dead. It's better to die. Just consider it as revenge for the death of the 4th Hokage. Shish, keep your voice down. The 3rd generation master has ordered that he should not be harmed. I can't even talk about this, what's the logic? Alas, it's a pity for the grocery store owner. He will probably be punished for the fox demon's death. Little ghost, don't play dead, I just pushed you. Just pushed it. That's all. Naruto Uzumaki endured the strong discomfort in his body, staggered to his feet, and stared at the person standing right in front of him. Pushing his grocery store owner. Seeing Naruto stand up, the grocery store owner was obviously relieved, and was glad that he would not be punished by the 3rd Hokage. Humph, since you're not dead yet, why don't you get out of here? It's really bad luck to block my business here. Is it bad luck? Naruto stared at the grocery store owner with a cold gaze. When he met Naruto's gaze, for some unknown reason, the grocery store owner suddenly felt that even the air had become unusually cold. Open black lens bracket ding. The life selector has been loaded successfully, close black lens bracket. Passive selection trigger, close black lens bracket. Ichiro Yamamoto, the grocery store owner, pushes you down. What choice will you make? Option 1. Stay friendly. Make the other party kneel down and apologize, then forgive him. Completion reward. Eliminate negative physical status. Open black lens bracket. Zon Zai Li Xing Dui Dai. Zhou Dui Fang Yi Dun. Bing Rang Ta Gui Sha Tian Ni Da Xie. Si Shi Jia Guo Wan Sheng Zhong Li. San Shen Shu. Close black lens bracket. Choice 3. Act recklessly. The other party has a daughter. The daughter pays the father's debt. Completion reward. Perfect upgrade version of seduction. Choice 4. Ruthless. Kill him. Completion reward. Rasengan. Naruto was stunned when he saw the 4 options suddenly pop up in front of him. Life choices. Naruto soon understood that this was the time traveler's golden finger, but this choice seemed unreliable. Why was he so bad-tempered? The perfect version of the seduction technique is very fragrant. Cannot be used by yourself, just exclude it. The possibility of being cruel and ruthless can also be ruled out. This is Konoha village, and the Konoha high-level officials are watching him all the time. How could he possibly do that? Even if he could really do it, it is not worth putting himself in danger for a Rasengan. The only options are 1 and 2. Compared to clearing the so-called negative status, Naruto wants the 3-body technique more. But now he could clearly feel that this body was in a weak state, and it was uncertain whether he could defeat the opponent. Hey, little brat, I told you to leave, didn't you hear me? Ichiro Yamamoto was frightened by Naruto's stare. He swallowed his saliva and shouted to drive Naruto away. Naruto smiled. He was a little hesitant about whether to follow the choice of this life selector, but now, it's your own fault. You have to try to know whether you can win or not. Even before he traveled through time, he didn't know what tolerance meant. I'll give you 10 counts to kneel down and apologize. What did you say, little brat? Hearing Naruto's words, Ichiro Yamamoto subconsciously wanted to curse, but when he met Naruto's increasingly cold eyes, he felt as if his throat was stuck by a thorn and he couldn't speak. Naruto clenched his fists and began the countdown. Seeing that Ichiro Yamamoto didn't move, Naruto took a step forward. When the people around saw this scene, they all showed an expression of, as expected. I told you, the fox demon will definitely not live in peace with us. I don't know why we still keep him in the village. The third generation master is too kind. He should have killed this guy directly, but he is still protecting him. Stay away from him, be careful that he doesn't implicate us later. Poor Yamamoto, facing a monster like him all alone. What my teacher said was right. You may not be able to hear one person whispering, but if a group of people are talking, it will be a torrent that reaches your ears. It's so noisy. Naruto muttered impatiently in his mind, but ignored them and continued to count to the next number while watching Ichiro Yamamoto, who was pushing him. 3. Wait, isn't it 10? Ichiro Yamamoto couldn't help but open his mouth wide, his eyes as big as Tongling. Oh, I couldn't wait any longer, so I did it a little faster. Naruto said coldly as he continued to shout out the next number, 1. After counting to 10, Naruto's aura suddenly changed. He assumed a fighting stance, clenched his right fist, and sent a fist towards Yamamoto Ichiro's face. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Looking at the impending fist, Ichiro Yamamoto's legs went limp and he fell to his knees begging for forgiveness. Maybe others would laugh at him. A middle-aged man was actually scared to his knees by a short and smelly kid. But only Naruto himself knew what it felt like to face him just now. The unreasonable fear that rose in his heart was as if he was about to die. Is this the power of the fox demon? Remember this in the future. If no one has provoked you, it's best not to provoke others. I'll let you go this time. Naruto retracted his fist and looked around. You guys too, better not mess with me. After saying that, he left the place without looking back and returned to the apartment where he originally lived. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing option 1. The host will be rewarded soon. Since this reward is special, please be prepared. Special rewards. How special can it be? Naruto was curious, so he opened the bedroom door and lay on the bed, waiting silently. Open black lens bracket. Begin to eliminate negative physical conditions. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Hunger was eliminated successfully. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Success in eliminating malnutrition. Close black lens bracket. Eliminating chakra disorder is in progress. Open black lens bracket. 1%, 25%, 50%, 75%, 100%. Close black lens bracket. Suddenly, Naruto felt his whole body unblocked, just like a prisoner whose shackles were opened, and he felt incomparable comfort. He was just about to stretch his body when the mechanical voice sounded again. The reward hasn't ended yet. Open black lens bracket. Eliminating the ugly appearance is in progress. Close black lens bracket. 1%. Instantly, sleepiness came over him, and Naruto gradually fell into a dream. There's something wrong with the Jinchuriki. I'll go report it first. A ninja wearing a dog-faced mask crouched on a tree trunk outside the window, then stood up and quickly ran off in a certain direction. Chapter 2. Big Fox is not impossible. Hokage's office. As the sun was high in the sky, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, dressed in a red robe, stood in front of the window, quietly looking at the prosperous streets of Konoha. Sarutobi, the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki is showing abnormality. Danzo, who was wrapped in bandages and walking on crutches, broke into the Hokage's office and said, today he wanted to attack a civilian and forced him to kneel down and apologize. The Sandaime turned and glared at him, then said calmly, yeah, I know. It's good that you know. Since the Jinchuriki now shows the intention of harming the villagers, why not hand him over to me directly? I will train him into a weapon to defend Konoha. Danzo said in a deep voice. The Sandaime narrowed his eyes and took a puff of the pipe in his hand. I will take care of Naruto's affairs myself, you'd better not interfere without permission. After he finished speaking, Danzo's face looked a little unhappy. He snorted coldly and turned away. You will regret this. Do you regret it? There are already so many things I regret. After he left, the Sandaime exhaled a puff of smoke and said, Naruto, will you make me regret this? Naruto looked around. The environment was dark and damp. There was 10 centimeters of water under his feet. In the distance, he could faintly hear the roar of wild beasts. The road ahead was not very clear, so Naruto walked slowly, feeling the wall. Soon the light gradually became brighter until he reached the end, where there was a huge cage in front of him. He couldn't help but open his mouth and eyes widened in horror. Inside the cage was a giant fox held in a strange manner. As someone who has watched the Naruto anime, Naruto would not have too many emotional fluctuations about the big fox Nine Tails in a cage. What really shocked him was why the Nine Tails was tied up in such an extremely outrageous way. Please give a brief description. Can be described with one letter. M. Shape. Both forearms were tied behind the head, and the long fox mouth was bound by an iron chain and could not open, and could only make slight roars. The nine-tailed fox's eyes were filled with overwhelming hatred. It wanted to break free from the chains that bound its body, and kept using chakra to attack. But unfortunately, it had no effect at all. Even its chakra couldn't escape the range of the chain. Passive selection trigger. Close black lens bracket. The nine-tailed fox looks at you with hatred. It doesn't know who caused the thing that bound it. Now it just wants to madly pour out its hatred and tear you into pieces. The choice you will make is: Choice 1. Stay friendly. Tell it that today's seal is just a small warning. If it dares to make trouble again, it will be punished more severely next time. Completion reward 3% of the Nine-Tails control. Option 1. Treat it rationally. Convince it to sign a contract with you and agree to become your slave. Completion reward Devil Contract X. Choice 3. Act recklessly. The big fox is not a bad choice, it just happens that it has been completely restrained now. He. Completion reward 5% control of the nine-tailed fox. Choice 4. Ruthless. No need to say anything, tear him into pieces. Completion reward 50% of Nine-Tails chakra. When Naruto heard the sound of the selector, he knew that the Nine-Tails would become what it is now, probably as a reaction to clearing the chakra disorder. It is the source of the disorder, so the best solution is to address it from the root. But why do you have to tie up the nine-tailed fox in this position? Although it is very effective, it is a bit abnormal, isn't it? And what the hell is reckless? Do you have to be so crazy? I'm not a tough person. Can you please not do this cross-species thing? Cruel and ruthless, this was also something that was completely impossible. After observing, Naruto boldly walked into the cage and tried it. Not to mention tearing the nine-tailed fox into pieces, he couldn't even pull its hair. As for the root of treating it rationally, Naruto thought it was a good idea, but he could try to persuade rationally, but the nine-tails was tied up like this and couldn't even speak, so how could he agree rationally? Then the last option is only friendly. The nine-tailed fox stared at Naruto with its violent eyes. It didn't understand what this tiny human insect was doing, nor did it understand why it suddenly became like this. He was clearly just using his own chakra to interfere with the bug, forcing it to use his own chakra and slowly let his mind be influenced by him. But today, countless iron chains appeared out of nowhere and locked it up tightly. Whose sealing technique is this? It's so terrifying. The bug, which was not even as tall as a fingernail, called out to it. Would you like to consider signing a contract with me and becoming my slave? I will give you freedom. Naruto still wanted to try option 2. He mainly wanted to see what the devil's contract was. Suddenly, Kyuubi felt the chain wrapped around his mouth loosen slightly, and he could speak no more. An angry roar sounded, and the water flow in the entire space was driven back out of the cage. However, it was useless. It still couldn't break free. You really don't want to cooperate. It seems that I think too much. Naruto scratched the back of his head and looked at the nine tails with a smile. Today's seal is just a small warning to you. If you dare to make trouble again next time, I don't mind giving you a more severe punishment and tearing you into pieces. Ha ha ha, you lowly bug, you want to tear me to pieces. If you can do it, just give it a try. Naruto's words made the nine tails feel ridiculous. As a tailed beast, it knew the situation of the Jinchuriki clearly. Could he tear itself into pieces? However, the next moment Kyuubi could no longer laugh. Naruto raised his hand slightly, and the fingers of its right front paw twitched inexplicably, completely out of its control. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing option 1. The reward has been issued successfully. The host has obtained 3% of the control over the nine-tailed fox. The host is still 97% away from being able to fully control the nine-tailed fox. Well, this reward seems pretty good. When Naruto opened his eyes again, the room was already dark. It's already dark. The last task took so long. What the hell is this about eliminating my ugly appearance? Please don't make me look weird. He got out of bed, rushed into the bathroom and turned on the light. Naruto stood blankly in front of the bathroom mirror and reached out to touch his cheek. The person in the mirror is no longer the short, ugly, and shabby loser. His face is still the same face. At first glance, there is no change, but upon closer inspection, it feels like a different person. His skin became fair and smooth, his facial features became angular, his eyebrows were sharp, his blue eyes were bright, his nose was high, his lips were slightly thin, and the 6 beard marks on his face had disappeared. Even his height has increased a lot, about 6 centimeters taller than before. If I have to describe it, it would be a high-end version of young Minato. Chapter 3. I heard your sister is very beautiful. The next day, the sun rose 3 poles. On the day of the Ninja Academy graduation exam, Naruto woke up early and the first thing he did after washing was to go to the street to buy some fitting clothes. As he had grown a lot taller, his previous clothes were too tight. Like a spirited young man. The process of buying clothes was much simpler than Naruto had imagined, and the store owner was surprisingly willing to sell him the clothes. To be honest, although Naruto didn't have much money in his wallet, it was still enough to support his life. It's just that the villagers of Konoha village have never liked him, so even if he had money, he couldn't buy anything. This time, the female owner was not only decisive in selling the product, but was also very enthusiastic. Little brother, black summer shorts go better with a white t-shirt. The female shopkeeper's eyes never left Naruto's face, and she said in a gentle voice that Naruto had never heard before, "If you buy together, I can give you a 50% discount." 50% discount? That's just giving one away for free. Naruto looked at the life-size mirror in the store and touched his cheek. He was afraid that she didn't even recognize who I was. The benefits of being a handsome guy were great. Then let's pack it together, thank you. After politely saying thank you, Naruto calmly accepted the items that he got in exchange for his face, went into the fitting room, changed into new clothes, and prepared to leave. As soon as I walked to the door, I heard the female owner say eagerly, "Little brother, remember to come here often to play." Passive selection trigger, close black lens bracket. The enthusiastic female owner of the clothing store did not recognize you as the annoying kid. She likes you, a sunny and handsome boy, so she invites you. What choice will you make? Choice 1, stay friendly. Impatiently tell her that she is a common woman, really give up, and decisively reject her. Completion reward purity effect lasts for 300 days. Option 2, treat it rationally. Agree to her invitation, and discuss life with her alone in the dead of night. Completion reward 3 body technique. Choice 3, act recklessly. Agree to her invitation, and go a step further. Formulate a sophisticated plan to make her submit physically and mentally after 7 days. Completion reward perfect advanced version of 3 body techniques. Choice 4, ruthless. No need to say anything, just kill him on the spot. Completion reward corpse servant. The following 3 options are as weird as ever, even more perverted than the others. But what about the first one, which was originally a little more normal? God damn, pure and simple, what kind of reward is this? 300 days left. Do I really have to explore life? Naruto thought about it, and then put this dangerous idea behind him. Strange women are very dangerous. Well, let's give it a try. With no choice, Naruto quickened his pace and ran forward, and soon he was far away. It was 8 o'clock in the morning and most residents had just woken up, so Naruto was the first customer of this clothing store. So after he left, the female owner followed him out to take a look. Oh, little Shota is so good, even when he runs he is so cute. After running for a while, Naruto stood at the gate of Konoha Ninja School, gasping for breath. Ding! The host takes the initiative to leave the target, which is considered as giving up the choice. Life should not be avoided, please face your future. Close black lens bracket. Fart. What my future will be like should be decided by me. Naruto smiled brightly. The experiment was successful. If he didn't want to make a choice, then just leave, that was the real choice. Yawning, Naruto walked into the school lazily. He once again felt the immediate change brought about by his improved appearance, and also witnessed how precocious the girls in this world were. As soon as they walked into the school gate, a group of little potatoes stared at Naruto's face without any shame. Until they passed by each other, their eyes followed Naruto's back. Entering the teaching building, groups of little girls were chatting and laughing, stealing glances at Naruto, and some even clamored to meet him. However, Naruto never stopped, which dispelled their thoughts. Humming a little tune and singing a song, he walked happily to his classroom. So annoying tilde. In the classroom, a sudden noisy sound woke up Shikamaru who was sleeping. He slowly looked towards the source of the sound, and then widened his eyes as if he saw something horrible. At the door of the classroom, several girls from the same class were surrounding a yellow-haired boy who looked both familiar and unfamiliar. And Shikamaru couldn't believe this was reality. He opened his mouth slightly, rubbed his eyes hard, and then looked again. Rub it again and see again. Really? Hey, Choji. Shikamaru raised his hand to push Akamichi Choji beside him and said, hurry and look over there. What are you looking at? Choji stopped taking the potato chips, looked in the direction of Shikamaru's finger, and muttered, isn't that Naruto? What's so good about that? Is that Naruto? The potato chips of Shikamaru slipped from his hands, and his fat eyes, which had been narrowed into a slit, suddenly widened, as if he had seen a ghost. Oh my god, I fell into a magic spell in broad daylight, Mom and Dad, please save me. Unlike Shikamaru who has become as dull as a stone statue, Naruto now feels annoyed to death. The little girl's non-stop chattering next to my ear was really unbearable. Naruto, are you really Naruto? You've changed so much, is this a genetic mutation? Basically, now all the students' eyes are fixed on Naruto who has changed so much, the inconspicuous Byakugan girl Hinata in the middle, the shocked and stunned Sakura in the front row, and Ino who was asking for advice on how to whiten skin right in front of them. There was also Inuzuka Kiba, who was holding his dog and watching with a look of disbelief. Naruto, did you secretly learn some powerful transformation technique? But that's not right. How could a loser like you learn a powerful technique? At this moment, Naruto didn't have the time to answer their questions. He was looking carefully at the 4 options in front of him, thinking about which one to choose. Actively choose to trigger. Close black lens bracket. As graduation approaches, you should greet your classmates enthusiastically and actively. What choice will you make? Target 1. Hyuga Hinata. Good morning Hinata-chan, are you interested in marrying me? Completion reward, shadow clone technique. Target 2. Haruno Sakura. Good morning, Sakura and your broad forehead. I will give you a chance today. If you sincerely ask me, I can reluctantly accept you as my slave. Completion reward, substitution technique. Target 3. Yamanaka Ino. Ino-chan, if you dance a striptease for me alone, I can teach you how to look good in private tonight. Completion reward, perfect version of seduction technique. Choice 4. Inuzuka Kiba. Kiba, I heard your sister is pretty, you'd better introduce her to me, or I'll kill your Akamaru and eat his dog meat. Completion Reward Telekinesis. Chapter 4 I Want It All. The first reward is the Shadow Clone Technique, and the fourth reward is the Instant Body Technique. The former can summon physical clones to fight with you, and the latter is a basic instant body technique that uses chakra attached to the legs to achieve high-speed movement. Although the level of both ninjutsu is not high, they are extremely practical. If you have to choose, these two techniques are the best options. The reward for the second option, the substitution technique, is also good and can save your life at critical moments. The seduction technique that can only be obtained by the third option of Ino seems to be better than nothing, but a perfect version is shown at the end. What should I do? I want it so badly. Which one should I choose? Just when Naruto was thinking seriously, Inuzuka Kiba suddenly grabbed Naruto's shoulder and shook him. Tell me quickly, did you use a special transformation technique? Naruto slapped Inuzuka Kiba's hand away and said, "You're very noisy, don't you know that?" Quote? Inuzuka Kiba was immediately unhappy. Hey, Naruto, why are you so arrogant? Do you want to fight? Naruto smiled slightly when he heard this. Tisk. You provoked me first, so don't blame me for offending you. Huh. Ya's tone was as if he had heard a big joke, and he laughed non-stop, holding his stomach. Did you suffer from amnesia? You forgot that you were the last one in the class, and you still say that you offended me. If you're scared, you can beg for mercy. As Naruto spoke, he tried to mobilize the Nine Tails chakra in his body. He had gained 3% control yesterday, and accordingly, he could now freely use 3% of the Nine Tails chakra. I've helped you think of a good way for me to forgive you. Naruto said, "Ya, I heard that your sister is very beautiful. You'd better introduce her to me, otherwise I will kill your Akamaru and eat her dog meat." You're the last one. I think you're really crazy. Are you looking for death? As the son of the Inuzuka clan leader, Inuzuka Kiba cherishes his ninja dog Akamaru the most besides his family. And now Naruto, the last one in the group, actually dares to offend both his sister and Akamaru at the same time. Not only him, but the classmates around him also thought that Naruto was crazy. After all, we have been together for so long, we know each other well and are clear about what kind of people each is. Although Inuzuka Kiba is a bit careless, his strength is indeed among the top few in this session. The only one who can surpass him is Uchiha Sasuke, who is ranked first. Naruto has always been the last place contestant. He hasn't even learned the most basic three-body technique. How can he fight against Kiba? But hasn't Naruto always been such an annoying guy who only cares about food and not about beatings? Oh, so boring. I originally thought it was interesting that Naruto became more handsome. It seems that he used the transformation technique just as Kiba said. Ino relaxed her hands and returned to her seat. The rest of the students followed suit, voluntarily leaving space for the enraged Kiba to teach Naruto a lesson. Naruto, you are crazy. Choji said in confusion. Why would he provoke Kiba for no reason? Who knows? Shikamaru yawned lazily. It would be good if Kiba could teach Naruto a lesson. Naruto's words are so stinking and he has always been unpopular. Like most people, Sakura, who had been pursued by the original Naruto, also thought that Naruto was going to be beaten next. Naruto-kun. Hinata, the Byakugan girl, grabbed her pants with both hands and looked at Naruto worriedly. At the same time, the black-haired boy Uchiha Sasuke, who was sitting in the protagonist's seat by the window in the fourth row, said softly, boring. Ya and him can still hold out for a while, but Naruto can usually be defeated with just one move. It's a one-sided crushing, nothing to watch. Everyone's eyes turned to Kiba and Naruto, watching this as a one-sided beating for fun. Only Kiba's ninja dog Akamaru looked at Naruto and seemed to sense something, shaking all over. Kiba didn't notice anything strange about Akamaru at this time. For him, there was no need to bring Akamaru with him to teach a lesson to a loser like Naruto. He bent down and assumed the fighting stance of the Inuzuka clan. Loser, if you apologize to me and Akamaru now, I won't hit you so hard later. Naruto still had that indifferent expression on his face. He glanced at the excited classmates around him, and then looked at Ino, Sakura, and Hinata in turn. He had an idea that he needed to experiment with. You were the last one. How dare you ignore me at this time? At this time, Ya could no longer bear it, and jumped up and rushed towards Naruto like a tiger. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing Goal 4. The reward blink was successfully issued. Is there anything strange about ignoring you? As soon as he finished speaking, Naruto mobilized the chakra in his legs and suddenly jumped up, concentrating part of the Nine Tails chakra at his knees. In an instant, he flashed in front of Kiba and pushed hard into his abdomen. With a loud bang, the tooth flew backwards, knocking over the teacher's desk and hitting the wall. Silence. For a moment, the classroom was silent. It was so quiet that even the sound of breathing could be heard clearly. How is it possible? He actually defeated Ya with just one strike. Yeah, that's something even Sasuke can't do. There were sounds of exclamation everywhere, and even Sasuke himself was stunned. He had not intended to watch this farce, but it ended so quickly that he couldn't even turn his head around. I got up so fast. I actually saw Naruto kill Kiba in a second. Shikamaru muttered, I need to sleep for a while to wake up. Sitting next to him, Choji put the potato chips aside, followed Shikamaru's posture and lay down to sleep. I'm tired too, let me sleep for a while. What they didn't know was that Naruto was a member of the Uzumaki clan who was very physically strong, and after eliminating the negative conditions in his body, his strength had reached the peak for his age group. In addition, the effect of the Nine Tails chakra made his strength about 3 times that of normal. Even without using the instant body flickering technique he had just acquired, it was only a matter of time for him to defeat Kiba. But Naruto himself did not expect that Fang, who would become one of the 12 strongest warriors of Konoha in the future, would be so vulnerable. At this time, Kiba had fallen into a coma. Akamaru looked at Naruto, then at Kiba. He wanted to help Kiba get revenge, but the extremely evil chakra just now really frightened him. After barking twice, Akamaru ran to Kiba's side to accompany him, staring at Naruto and not daring to move. I have to say, this is a good dog. Naruto had no intention of attacking Akamaru, he just wanted to complete the mission objective. Now that I have acquired the teleportation technique, I should start experimenting. Attaching chakra to his legs again, Naruto quickly came in front of Sakura. Seeing Naruto, who had just easily defeated Kiba, coming in front of her, Sakura suddenly felt her heart beating faster. Chapter 5 New Prank. It has never been a secret that Naruto likes Sakura. Everyone who knows both Naruto and Sakura knows it very well. So now when Naruto comes to Sakura to seek praise, after defeating Kiba, no one thinks it's anything strange. As for Sakura, she has always hated Naruto ever since he started liking her, because Naruto is not good looking and is the last in the class, yet he sticks to her like a dog's skin plaster. The type of person she likes is the opposite sex like Sasuke, who is handsome, strong and has personality. Naruto now seems to have become the same type as Sasuke. Somehow, Sakura is now looking forward to Naruto's daily flattery of her. If Naruto confesses to me later, would you consider him for a moment? But I've always liked Sasuke. Oh, so annoying. Be nicer to Naruto for now, and think about it later. Facing the unhappy look from her biggest rival Ino who was sitting next to her, Sakura automatically interpreted it as jealousy of her. After all, Naruto came to her immediately after defeating Kiba with one blow. Jingyeju, she has no such suitor. Thinking of this, Sakura couldn't help but sit up straight with pride, and greeted Naruto with a smile. Most people like to compare with others, and girls' comparison is mostly related to beauty and suitors. Today, Naruto really made her proud. Ino was so angry that her teeth were itching, and her delicate and cute face was full of unhappiness. Hinata, who was behind, looked at Naruto and felt a little disappointed, thinking that Naruto was so nice to Sakura. Naruto, good morning. Good morning, Sakura. And your broad forehead. Sakura and Naruto spoke at the same time, and then her smile froze. However, Naruto was not looking at her at all. He read the words on the selection bar in front of him that only he could see awkwardly. He felt that this selector must be illiterate and his sentences were not very fluent. After carefully confirming it, Naruto continued to read, "I will give you a chance today. If you sincerely ask me, I can reluctantly accept you as my slave." Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing Goal 2. The reward substitution technique has been successfully issued. The idea works. The knowledge about the use and application of substitution techniques suddenly flooded into his mind, as if it had been used thousands of times in actual combat. As long as Naruto wanted, he could release it immediately. This made Naruto secretly say that it was great. This selector worked just as he expected. He could choose not to make a selection, or he could choose all of them. In that case, he wants all 4 rewards. Sakura clenched her fists, almost furious. She was as angry as she was expecting it just now. Ino suddenly laughed out loud, mocking Sakura wantonly. Broad forehead, did you hear that? Naruto can reluctantly take you as a slave, don't you agree? After that, Ino moved her eyes to Naruto's face and said happily, Naruto-kun, take Sakura in quickly. I support you. The next second, Naruto flashed in front of her and looked straight at Ino. Ino-chan, aren't you very interested in my changes? If you dance a striptease for me alone, I can teach you how to become beautiful in private tonight. To be honest, Ino is very good at dressing up. Her long golden hair is tied into a flowing long ponytail at the back, and she has a single side bangs in front, which perfectly reflects the girl's youthful vitality. Her earlobes, which are as crystal as jade in the sun, are adorned with a pair of gold earrings, which is playful and unconventional. However, at this moment, her pretty face was twitching with anger and her temples were throbbing due to Naruto's words. With a bang, Ino slammed her fist on the table. There was no trace of Naruto in front of her. She turned her head and looked around the classroom. Naruto had already run in front of Hinata. You bastard, do you want to die? At this moment, all the students in the class dropped their jaws. Not only did Naruto get his teeth knocked out, he also provoked 2 female Tyrannosaurus Rex in the class at once. Now he ran in front of Hinata. What on earth does he want to do? None of them could guess what Naruto was thinking, including Shikamaru, who always thought he was quite smart. Looking at Naruto at this moment, he suddenly felt that he didn't seem to understand Naruto. Shikamaru, Kiba is still lying on the ground. Should we help him to his seat? Choji pulled Shikamaru's sleeve. Wait a minute, let me see what Naruto is going to do. Shikamaru stared at Naruto's direction, thinking that he would not even bully Hinata. Akamaru. Woof woof woof. Hinata, who was standing in front of Naruto, also thought so. Naruto had just spoken and angered Sakura and Ino, and now he came to find her, which meant he was definitely going to humiliate her severely. Little Hinata was shy and afraid. She lowered her head and dared not look Naruto in the eye. Her 2 little hands were entangled together, and her 10 small toes kept shaking through her shoes like crystal jade shoots, as if she was trying to dig out a big project. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing Goal 3. The reward perfect version of seduction has been issued successfully. When the cold reminder sound came, Naruto's smile became even brighter, and he shouted with a bright smile, Good morning Hinata-chan. Morning. Good morning, Naruto-kun. Hinata wanted to look at Naruto but didn't dare to, for fear that Naruto would immediately blurt out something humiliating. Don't be afraid, be brave, Naruto-kun is just joking, it's okay. Hinata silently comforted herself in her heart, then she raised her head tremblingly, saw Naruto's chin from his chest, and then Naruto's thin lips opened slightly. Are you interested in marrying me? Upon hearing this, a big question mark first appeared on Hinata's little face, which then turned red in an instant. Her brain immediately shut down, and she fell backwards uncontrollably. Hinata, what's wrong with you? Naruto didn't have time to wait for the reward from the selector to be distributed, and hurried to pull Hinata who was about to fall to the ground. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing Goal 1. The reward Shadow Clone technique has been successfully distributed. Hokage Building, Hokage Office. The third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen used the telescope technique through the crystal ball to observe Naruto's condition. When he saw the changes in Naruto's appearance and strength, he was shocked at first, and then he almost spit out the hot tea he had just drunk. Cough, 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 cough. After coughing several times, the third generation finally returned to normal. Naruto, you little brat, are you trying to attract people's attention with some new prank? Just ask him directly. After saying that, the third generation took off his divine robe, changed into casual clothes, and walked slowly towards the outside of the Hokage building. Chapter 6: The Girl Who Wants to Block the Road. Naruto, you just stand here and do your punishment. Don't move until I call you. Do you hear me? Iruka scolded the boy in front of him who had changed so much overnight, feeling mixed emotions. Today is the day of the graduation exam, and Iruka started to be busy early in the morning. As soon as he arrived at the ninja school, he heard from his colleagues some problems that gave him a headache. Naruto knocked Inuzuka Kiba unconscious. Naruto humiliated Sakura and Ino. Naruto bullied Hinata until she fainted. Each thing was more outrageous than the last, so outrageous that when Iruka got the exact answer from Naruto, he hardly believed it. Sighing, Iruka softened his tone. Naruto, if you want to become Hokage, you can't hurt your companions. Do you understand? As someone who had also experienced hardships, Iruka always subconsciously gave Naruto more preference, so even if Naruto suddenly did so many wrong things, he still gritted his teeth and just made Naruto stand in the corner as punishment. I understand, Mr. Iruka, you should go to the examination room quickly, the others can't wait any longer. Naruto waved his hand and urged Iruka to leave. You guy, you can't wait to drive me away, right? Naruto's words felt like he was chasing him away, and Iruka was so angry that he wanted to teach him a lesson with a stern face, but then he thought again, the exam was about to begin, so he should not affect Naruto's mentality. Do your best, Naruto. I'll treat you to ramen after the exam. Okay, bye Iruka-sensei. When Iruka's back disappeared, the options in front of Naruto gradually dimmed until they disappeared. Ding! The target leaves the host's sight range, and the host is unwilling to pursue, which is considered giving up the choice. Would not actively pursuing be considered giving up? Naruto felt like he was one step closer to studying the selector thoroughly. After a short coma, Hinata woke up, but her heart was still pounding, and Naruto's words kept echoing in her mind. Get married. Hinata stammered, her face flushed all the way to her ears. She couldn't help but recall the scene when Naruto stood in front of her and said it in person. Naruto-kun. Will he be angry if he doesn't get an answer? If only I had been more motivated and not fainted just now. Naruto-kun. As she was thinking, Hinata's head began to feel hot and she felt dizzy again. Just when she was about to crash again, someone suddenly patted her on the shoulder. Hinata suddenly came back to her senses, saw who was coming, and asked quickly, Ino-chan, what's wrong? Ino said angrily, today, Naruto was such a scoundrel. He not only humiliated me, but also bullied you, Hinata. After the exam, let's go find trouble with him together. Al. Going to cause trouble for Naruto-kun. How can this be? Hinata shook her head like a rattle. No, I'm not going. Hinata, don't worry. Ino thought Hinata was just scared. After all, Hinata's shyness and timidity were obvious to everyone. She was so angry that she wanted to find someone to block Naruto together. That guy actually dared to say such shameful words in public as asking her to do a striptease. It was unforgivable. He must be taught a lesson as to why the flowers are so red. Now Kiba hasn't woken up yet, and he doesn't want to look for Sakura's wide forehead. Shikamaru and Choji have a good relationship with Naruto, so the only one he can look for is Hinata, the common victim. Listen to me, no one can become strong suddenly. Naruto has always been the last one in the standings. He was able to defeat Kiba only because Kiba was too careless and did not regard him as a real enemy. That's why he lost. As long as we are well prepared, we can defeat him. Ino patiently worked with Hinata to find the loopholes in the previous battle between Naruto and Kiba. Hinata lowered her head, not knowing how to tell Ino that she didn't feel like she was being bullied. Next, Hyuga Hinata. A call came from the examination room, and Hinata seemed to have seen a savior, so she quickly stood up and left Ino. Ino-chan, I have to go take my exams first. I won't be there to block Naruto-kun. Looking at Hinata going away, Ino felt helpless. In fact, the guess she just told Hinata was half true and half false. She was not sure whether she could defeat Naruto, otherwise she would not have called anyone to join her. Forget it, if no one is going, I'll go by myself. I don't believe that a last place person can suddenly become so strong. Naruto, just wait for me. Next, Uzumaki Naruto. As the one who was punished to stand, Naruto was the last one to take the test. The question he drew was the clone jutsu, and the shadow clone technique he had just learned came in handy, and he naturally got full marks. Naruto, you've finally grown up. You'll be a ninja who can stand on your own in the future. Iruka put the forehead protector on Naruto himself and said with a smile, after becoming a genin, you must work hard, otherwise you will not be able to become a Hokage. Listening to Iruka's chatter, Naruto tilted his head and looked at the fiery clouds outside the window. Iruka didn't know that he was no longer the original Naruto. Now he had no interest in the position of Hokage. It's better not to tell Iruka about this, just keep it to yourself for now. Telling him would do nothing except make him think too much and bring trouble to himself. Who knows if that old man from the third generation is looking at this side through that glass ball now. There are also troubles with the Root and Anbu who are always following him. His every move is under their sight. He can be naughty and mischievous, but if what he says goes against their ideals, Naruto guessed that he would suffer the consequences. Let's go Naruto, I promised you I'll treat you to ramen. It is good. What's wrong with you today, kid? You're so unmotivated. That's because you're too childish, Iruka-sensei, that's why you're always full of energy. You little brat, you're teaching me a lesson. When Naruto and Iruka walked out of the ninja school, it was already dusk, the most beautiful time of the day on a sunny day. As the sun sets, the blonde girl is still waiting on the road leading to Naruto's house, but Naruto, who should have come a long time ago, still never shows up. As day and night change, the night breeze blows gently. Ino sneezed violently. The wind was very cold tonight, and she was wearing light clothes, so she couldn't withstand the cold. The thin, straight, snow-white legs were exposed and trembling in the cold night wind. Damn you, why don't you come? Where have you been? You're lucky today. I'll let you go for now. After muttering angrily, Ino hugged her already cold arms and quickly ran towards her home. Chapter 7. Collecting 3,000 Jade Maidens. The west wind was howling inside the Konoha training ground, and the leaves of the lush trees were scattered all over the sky. A leaf with clear texture was hit by a stone as it slowly fell, and flew towards the target. The young man with golden hair swung the stones, and each one hit the red heart of the target in front of him without a single mistake. Chakra is really useful. If I had relied purely on physical strength, I would have been exhausted long ago. Naruto raised his hand to wipe the sweat off his face. He had been training here for more than an hour, trying out the ninjutsu he had acquired today as well as the physical strength of this body. Overall it was pretty good. The instant body flickering technique, the substitute technique, and the shadow clone are all very practical, and there is no sense of unfamiliarity when using them. The rewards given by the selector are like enlightenment, and you don't have to practice slowly after obtaining them. Now all that was left was a perfect version of the seduction technique, and Naruto planned to try it after returning home, but now he would practice his shooting accuracy first. He picked up a free stone from the ground, aimed at the bull's eye, and heard the crunching sound of fallen leaves. Naruto turned around and threw the stone, which landed steadily in the palm of the visitor. The visitor was the supreme leader of Konoha village, the Sandaime Hokage. The Sandai casually dropped the stone in his hand and walked slowly towards Naruto with a kind smile on his face. Naruto, how can you attack people casually? Naruto pretended to be surprised and said, I'm sorry, Grandpa Sandame, when I heard the noise I thought there was some ferocious big yellow dog coming over. What is this description? The third Hokage's face turned dark, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. Looking at Naruto's face, which was almost the same as the fourth Hokage's, he looked a little confused. It's not a transformation technique, how could a real face change so much? The third generation took a deep breath and asked Naruto, Naruto, can you tell me if you have had any special experience recently? Hearing this, Naruto's eyelids twitched. When he saw the changes in himself, Naruto guessed that this would definitely happen, but he didn't expect that it would be the third Hokage who would come to ask in person. I don't quite understand what Grandpa Sandame is talking about. Naruto scratched his head and said innocently. This bad old man was very bad, and he showed great concern for Naruto. When Naruto was looked down upon by the villagers because of his status as a Jinchuriki, he became the only one who took the initiative to care for Naruto. No matter what mistakes Naruto made, he was as tolerant as possible. He never blamed Naruto even when he graffitied on the Hokage rock. He also tried to comfort Iruka and made Iruka truly treat Naruto well. He looks like the kindest old grandfather in the world who is the best to Naruto. But if he really wanted Naruto to avoid being discriminated against by the villagers, he actually just needed to tell the villagers that Naruto was the son of the fourth Hokage. Why bother going through so much trouble to influence Naruto on his own? But the third Hokage didn't do that. He never clarified it for Naruto. If he said that it was to protect the information of the Jinchuriki, that would be even more ridiculous. If they really wanted to protect the information about Naruto's identity as the Jinchuriki, then why did they allow the identity of the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki to spread so widely in Konoha? Judging from the fact that the news that Naruto was the son of the fourth Hokage had never been revealed, if Konoha really wanted to hide the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, then how could the common people know it? Therefore, Naruto guessed that the third generation just wanted a Naruto who would be influenced by him and unconditionally support him and his ideals after growing up. The third generation wanted to shape the Naruto that he wanted to see. What a pity, Mr. Third Generation, your dream has been shattered. The Naruto that you shaped into has disappeared. Naruto, don't you notice that you have changed a lot now? Sandai's smile was still kind. You've grown so much taller. I heard that you beat your classmates today. You're amazing. Naruto chuckled and was thinking about what words to use to make the third Hokage believe him when the voice of the selector rang in his mind and then words that only he could see popped up in front of him. Passive selection trigger. Close black lens bracket. The Sandame Hokage is trying to get you to talk. He can't figure out why you've changed so much and wants to know if there's anything unexpected that he can't control. What choice will you make? Choice 1. Stay friendly. Insult him, old bastard, you don't deserve to know my business, get out of here, or I'll kill your whole family. Completion reward 20% control of the nine-tailed fox. Option 2. Treat it rationally. Challenge him, defeat him and then humiliate him. Completion reward Rasengan. Choice 3. Act recklessly. He is the supreme leader of Konoha. Control him to give orders to Konoha and collect 3,000 beauties for you to enjoy. Completion reward Rinnegan. Choice 4. Ruthless. Chop, slice, and chop him into pieces. Completion reward would release. After a quick scan, Naruto's pupils shrank slightly and he was shocked. What kind of death options are triggered this time? The selector depends on whether the person is good or not, especially the third option of collecting 3,000 beautiful girls. It is simply like living in a dream. Even if the third generation has a brain seizure and really listens to my orders, will others agree? It is estimated that by then the third generation himself will be imprisoned as a lunatic. Although none of the previous choices were normal, they were still options after all. This time it was purely courting death. Just when Naruto was about to give up, he suddenly discovered that the reward for option 2 was the Rasengan. The appearance of Rasengan among the 4 options of rewards seems extremely unreasonable. Although Rasengan is also considered a powerful ninjutsu, it is a world of difference compared to the other 3 rewards that appeared this time. Naruto guessed that the reward for the mission might be related to the difficulty of the choice. The third and fourth options were completely impossible to do, so they were rewarded with the bug-like Rinnegan and wood release respectively. Although the first option is very risky and you may be imprisoned or handed over to Danzo to be transformed into an obedient weapon, this option can be achieved as long as you ask, so the reward is relatively lower. In comparison, the Rasengan that appears in the second option is just like a free gift and is dispensable. However, it was this bonus-like reward that made Naruto discover the highlight. It seemed that all 4 options were not possible, but in fact, option 2 was feasible. Who said that you can't defeat the Hokage before becoming an official genin? Rasengan. I'll take it. Grandpa Sandaime, before you ask me any questions, you'd better defeat me first, otherwise I won't tell you anything. Naruto smiled brightly and struck a hand seal. The third generation was a little surprised and didn't quite understand Naruto's train of thought. Before he could react, he heard Naruto yell from the other side. Seduction technique, a perfect upgrade. Chapter 8. Miss Shanjong is harmed. Her long golden hair fluttered in the wind, a few drops of water slid from her forehead across her beautiful face, her moist and translucent skin was blushing, the moonlight was hazy, and her looming appearance was beyond words. With a whoosh sound, blood gushed out of Sandai's nose, and he fell straight to the ground as if he had lost his soul. Seduction technique, unlock. Naruto's voice was full of mockery. He walked slowly to the side of the Sandaime and said, "You old pervert, a piece of trash like you is unworthy of being a Hokage. You should just abdicate and let others take over." Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing Goal 2. The reward Rasengan was successfully issued. After a while, the Sandaime sat on the grass and wiped the blood from his nose with a handkerchief. Naruto, you little bastard, you are still studying such a dirty ninjutsu as the seduction technique. You old pervert, you're still being stubborn. You didn't last more than 2 seconds under the seduction technique just now. Shut up and stop talking. The third Hokage spoke fiercely, but he was much more relaxed in his heart. What Naruto did just now was still the Naruto he was familiar with. He used strange ninjutsu to defeat him and wanted to pull him down from the position of Hokage. The only difference was that Naruto's seduction technique had become more advanced than before, and this time he even managed to confuse his mind, although it was only for a brief moment. It was possible to confuse the mind of a cage-level ninja, which even many advanced illusions could not do. However, given that the nature of this move was too special, the third generation was unable to comment on it for a while. Enough of the fuss, now it's time to get down to business. The Sandai put away his handkerchief and looked at Naruto seriously. Tell me, what happened to you these few days? The dark woods were filled with the sounds of insects and birds, and a bright moon was reflected in the center of the lake. Naruto lowered his eyes and looked sad. I saw the Yondaime-sama. Naruto's tone was flat, but his emotions were all written on his face. He silently stretched out his hand, chakra flowed in his palm, and a blue sphere gradually formed. Spiral pills. The Sandaime looked incredulous and shocked. He didn't expect Naruto to say such a bizarre thing as meeting the fourth Hokage. However, the Rasengan in Naruto's palm forced the Sandaime to believe that what Naruto said was true. Maybe something was left in Naruto's body through the Uzumaki clan's sealing technique. Naruto, what did the fourth Hokage say to you in your dream? Asked the third Hokage. He hasn't spoken to me, Naruto said. Hearing this, the third generation secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He had watched Naruto grow up, and he knew that although Naruto was naughty, he was not a good liar and his emotions were usually written on his face. Minato, as the inheritor of the will of fire and a fellow Hokage, you must be able to understand me. Naruto said dejectedly. He just taught me the 3-body technique and the Rasengan and then disappeared. He hasn't appeared since yesterday morning. Third generation grandfather, do you think that fourth generation uncle doesn't come here because he hates me? Is it because I didn't learn ninjutsu fast enough? But I really tried my best. Quote. The third Hokage looked at Naruto, who was looking at the starry sky, and picked up a leaf from the ground. Naruto, the fourth Hokage didn't teach you ninjutsu to make you discouraged. He hoped that you could inherit his will of fire and protect Konoha for him. Naruto looked up at the starry sky. It was really tiring to deceive the old man Sandike. He was like a cult leader who would start brainwashing him as soon as he got the chance. You've made Naruto suffer for so many years, and you still want Naruto's help to protect Konoha. Naruto wants to ask you about your two arms. Not participating in the destruction of Konoha is considered a handsome and kind person. Seeing that Naruto didn't say anything, the third generation thought he was sad and reached out and patted his shoulder. Cheer up, Naruto. Haven't you always wanted to be the Hokage and gain everyone's recognition? Then work hard to become the fourth generation who will teach you ninjutsu. Damn, can this old guy just shut up? The next day, after Naruto put on his clothes and tied the forehead protector on his arm, he went out, yawning all the way. He was pulled by the old man of the third generation for more than 2 hours last night, and returned home very late, and was severely sleep deprived. When they were almost reaching the ninja school, Naruto met. No, it should be said that he was stopped by Ino on the street. When Naruto went around to the left, she blocked him to the left. When Naruto went around to the right, she blocked him to the right. Uzumaki Naruto, where did you go yesterday? I waited for you until the evening, but there was no sign of you. Ino was really angry. Not only did she almost catch a cold yesterday because she blocked Naruto's way, but she was also scolded by her parents for coming home late without reporting it. She angrily shouted, "You damn bastard! Naruto! Another two-armed one!" Naruto didn't understand why Ino made him sound like a scumbag who had betrayed her. He didn't know what was wrong with her. That's the lady from the Yamanaka family, right? How did she get involved with that brat? You mean that cute little boy? I think they are a perfect match. What's the match? That's a nine-tailed demon. Oh, really? I didn't recognize you. The change is quite big, but it's really him. I saw him come out of that house with my own eyes. From what Miss Yamanaka said, she waited for that brat until evening yesterday. Could it be that the young lady of the Yamanaka family has been harmed? Amid the gossip all around and Naruto's surprised look, Ino finally realized that she had said the wrong thing and hurriedly explained that it had nothing to do with Naruto, but it seemed to have little effect. Others had already formed a preconceived notion, and it was difficult for her to explain herself for the time being. Naruto yawned at the sight and continued walking forward. Ino cared about what others said, but he didn't. Just say whatever you want, just treat it as a dog barking. However, before Naruto could take 2 steps, Ino ran over and blocked his way. You can't leave. Ino opened her arms and refused to give way. Naruto raised an eyebrow and said unhappily, "If you have a mental illness, go to Konoha Hospital to find a doctor, don't get in my way." You bastard. Ino wrinkled her small nose, her pretty face full of anger. Not only did you humiliate me by saying those words yesterday, but today you called me sick. I have to beat you up. Yesterday. Naruto suddenly realized that Ino came to him because of what he said to her yesterday in order to get the reward. Just when Naruto was about to apologize to Ino and let the matter go, Ino suddenly put her hands together and faced Naruto. This gesture was the seal of the Yamanaka family's secret technique, the heart turn technique. Passive selection trigger, close black lens bracket. Because of your humiliation yesterday, Yamanaka Ino is resentful of you and wants to teach you a lesson, so she attacked you. What choice will you make? Choice 1, stay friendly. Dodge the attack, humiliate her with words again, and tell her that she'd better wait for you at night. Completion reward 36 ways to tie up. Choice 2, treat it rationally. Beat her up, let her know why the flowers are so red. Completion reward 1% of the 9-tailed fox's control. Choice 3, act recklessly. If she dares to hurt you, you must punish her severely. After defeating her, you can complete the reward heart-turning technique on the street. Choice 4, ruthless. No need to say anything, just kill it. Completion reward 10% control of the nine-tailed fox. Tisk, is it necessary to choose such a simple question? Naruto avoided Ino's hand seal and quickly moved behind her before she could cast it. Chapter 9. The Nine-Tailed Fox's Fury of Impotence. Too slow. If this is all you are capable of, then don't try to provoke me. A weak person should know his place as a weak person. Shinhei's voice exploded in her ears, Ino's pupils shrank slightly, her face was stunned, and a fear surged in her heart. She turned sideways at the fastest speed and faced Naruto's sarcastic and contemptuous expression, and her fingers couldn't help but curl up. I originally thought that even if Naruto was really strong, I would be able to fight him, but I didn't expect Naruto to be this fast. Then why has he been the last one for so long? Before Ino could retreat to a safe area to think about this problem, she saw Naruto quickly raised his hand. She hurriedly shouted, "Wait. There's nothing to wait for. Just go to my house tonight and wait for me to apologize." The secret of Konoha taijutsu. A casual knife. The white back of her neck was hit, and a tingling feeling surged up, and then Ino's consciousness gradually disappeared. Her clear eyes closed, her golden hair fluttered in the wind, and she fell straight to the ground. At this critical moment, Naruto quickly took half a step back. Looking at the beautiful girl lying quietly on the ground, Naruto waved his sleeves. He almost hit his foot without paying attention. He thought he should be more careful next time. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing option 1. The reward 36 bundling methods has been successfully distributed. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing option 2. The reward 1% of nine-tail control has been successfully issued. As 36 extremely perverted bondage positions flooded into his mind, Naruto felt relieved and continued walking towards the ninja school. Who would complain about having too much reward? Of course, I took all I could, just in case it might come in handy someday. As for Ino, who was knocked unconscious on the road, Naruto didn't bother to care about her. The many Anbu who followed him every day were not raised by him, so they would naturally go and wake up the only daughter of the Yamanaka family. As Naruto expected, shortly after Naruto left, a masked, purple-haired Anbu jumped from the tree to Ino, picked her up, and gently placed her on a chair by the roadside. "I'm just dizzy. I'll wake up naturally after resting for a while." "It's really rude. You can be so cruel even to a girl. Wasn't their conversation just now quite intimate? They even mentioned being together last night. Is that the kind of relationship they have? Oh, really? He even beats his girlfriend. He is not a good person. Poor Miss Yamanaka, alas tilde." Listening to the gossip of passers-by, the purple-haired Anbu didn't understand why these passers-by were so capable of making blind guesses, but this was not something she could do, so let others think whatever they wanted, it had nothing to do with her. After going to school to get the registration book, he found a photo studio to take a normal photo and took it to the Hokage building to give it to the third generation. During this time, he met the third generation's great-grandson Konohamaru, who challenged the third generation. What a coincidence. Konohamaru wouldn't come if Naruto didn't come, and Konohamaru arrived just as Naruto came. Who knows if Konohamaru was just released into the Hokage building? Regardless of whether it was the third generation's plan or it was just a coincidence, Naruto was too lazy to establish any friendship with the kid. He didn't even bother looking at the grandfather and grandson and went straight home. There were still a few days of vacation before the genin classes were divided, and Naruto, in addition to practicing the various new bondage techniques he had learned, had been wandering the streets looking for options. Unfortunately, the selector seemed to be sulking and never came out, which made Naruto feel a little depressed. April is a day's season, the sunny weather is peaceful and beautiful. On the last day of the holiday, I felt somehow very tired. After wandering around the streets all day, I returned to my small apartment and lay down on the sofa and closed my eyes. Life selector rules are being upgraded 1% 13%. When Naruto opened his eyes again, he was already in front of a large iron cage. Long time no see. Naruto greeted loudly to the Nine Tails, who was still tied up in the M style. The nine-tailed fox wanted to roar loudly, but due to the restraint on its mouth, it could only make a low roar, which had no deterrent effect at all. Having lived for thousands of years, even when it was controlled by Uchiha Madara, the Nine-Tails had never felt so miserable. It couldn't even move its body and was forced to maintain this strange posture. It was too painful. Little devil, quickly untie the seal from me, or I will tear you apart when you get out. Ha ha ha, you can't even break the seal and yet you're going to tear me apart. You're quite funny. With two seals in place, Naruto made fun of the Nine-Tails unscrupulously. Boundless rage flashed in the nine-tailed fox's eyes. It wanted to immediately break free from the shackles on its body and strangle the little devil who dared to mock it. However, despite its repeated attempts, no matter how much chakra it released, it could not break the chains. These past few days, Nine-Tailed Fox felt like he was going crazy. It would be fine if he could just sleep in the cage like before. Although the cage was quite small for him, at least he had space to move around. But now what is going on with this terrible chain? It no longer wants to stay in this position. You despicable bugs, what on earth are the chains that bind me? Untie them for me. Yes, the despicable bug locked you up. You are worse than a bug even though you have a huge amount of chakra. Hearing Naruto's ridicule, the Nine-Tails became even more angry, with hatred in his eyes. I will tear you to pieces. But it was just impotent rage. Naruto was too lazy to pay attention to it and planned to leave. However, at this moment, the selector that Naruto had been waiting for several days finally appeared again. It turned out that it had disappeared for a few days because it was quietly upgraded. Open black lens bracket ding. Life selector upgrade completed. Close black lens bracket. Improved the reward system and friendly options, added the currency and various props of this world as rewards, and can check the functions of the reward props in advance to help the host make more accurate choices about his life. Passive selection trigger. Close black lens bracket. The nine-tailed fox hates you because it is too painful to be bound, and has made harsh words to you. What choice will you make? Choice 1. Stay friendly. Agree to untie its shackles and successfully influence it with love and kindness. Completion reward 46% control of the nine-tail. Option 1. Treat it rationally. Convince it to sign a contract with you and agree to become your slave. Completion reward Devil Contract X. Choice 3. Act recklessly. The fiery red fox is also very beautiful, so harden it. Completion reward 100,000 taels of cash. Choice 4. Ruthless. No need to say more, kill it completely. Completion reward 50% of the nine-tails chakra. The Devil's Contract appears for the second time. Naruto was really curious about what this thing was, so he used the new function to check it out in advance. Chapter 10 How to Do It. Demonic Contract. Pull the soul of the creature defeated within a week into an independent space to talk with it. If the other party agrees to sign the contract and become a servant, the other party will gain the special ability of the demon curse, but will also pay the price of handing over the ownership of the soul to the master and will not be able to escape by any means. Note: it is usually stored in a different space and needs to be summoned by the recipient. Regardless of whether the other party signs it or not, it will dissipate once used. Control souls and collect servants. Compared to the other rewards, this thing is somewhat novel for Naruto and is a relatively good choice. With a thought, Naruto closed the text page and looked up to meet the M-shaped nine-tails eyes. Julama, do you want to gain true freedom? What tricks are you trying to play, you worm? Quickly loosen the chains for me, or else. As Juwei was talking, he suddenly froze, his eyelids twitched violently, and asked, "How do you know my name? This is not a rare thing. Let alone your name, I basically know everything about this world." Naruto's face showed no emotion, as calm as water. "I'll ask you again, do you want to gain true freedom? Answer me. Who do you think you're talking to, kid? It seems that you still don't understand your current situation." Naruto raised his hand, and immediately the nine-tails' right front paw moved as well. Under the nine-tailed fox's horrified gaze, its right front paw clenched into a fist completely out of its control. Do you feel it? Now part of your body is completely under my control. As long as the chain remains, one day your body will be completely under my control. Your consciousness will disappear from the world, and all of your chakra will be devoured by me. Naruto smiled and said, now I am giving you a chance. You have no choice, Kurama. Either wait to be devoured by me, or listen to me and I will give you freedom. Naruto was not lying. If the devil's contract had not aroused Naruto's interest, he would have really planned to slowly brush up his options at first, to gain 100% control over the Nine Tails, and then the Nine Tails would be completely GG. If someone had threatened the Nine Tails like this half a month ago, the Nine Tails would have sneered at the other person. For thousands of years, some people have sealed it, some have controlled it with the Sharingan, but no one has been able to really kill it. But now the nine-tailed fox really felt that it had lost control of a small part of its body. This was not the control of the Sharingan's eye technique, but that part of the body actually no longer obeyed the commands of its consciousness. This is a very scary thing. For the first time, Kyuubi felt that he might actually die. How do you want to give me freedom? Kyuubi finally came to his senses. When I become the strongest, I will give you true freedom while ensuring that I remain immortal. You can roam the mountains, rivers and oceans as you wish. Naruto replied. Can you become the strongest? The Nine Tails was not satisfied with Naruto's answer. This statement seemed like a joke. Naruto's smile turned serious. Of course I can, and I must. If he traveled to another world, maybe he could be a salted fish without dreams, but that's not the case here. Here Naruto must become strong. He doesn't want to die in the infinite Tsukuyomi opened by Uchiha Madara. What do you need me to do? The nine-tailed fox lowered its eyes. According to Naruto, it had no choice now. It could only choose to trust Naruto and bet on Naruto's determination and ability. I want you to promise to sign a contract with me when the opportunity arises and to be my slave until I let you go, Naruto said. After hesitating for a long time, Kyuubi nodded and said, okay. It's nothing more than a psychic contract. Human lifespan is no more than 100 years, so we can endure it. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing option 1. The reward Devil's Contract X has been successfully issued. After hearing the information, Naruto was immediately relieved. He bet was right. It turned out that reviewing the questions was very important. He noticed that option 2 required the nine-tailed fox's consent, but it did not necessarily require a signature. He used the iron chain that bound the nine-tailed fox to bully others and successfully got the nine-tailed fox to agree. Otherwise, there would be no contract. Little sir, can you help me untie the chains now? Said Kyuubi. Naruto was also confused when he heard this. This chain was used to tie up the nine tails automatically when the negative state was being cleared, and he didn't know how to untie it. Just as he was thinking this, the chains on the nine-tailed fox loosened automatically and it disappeared. In an instant, Nine-Tailed Fox felt comfortable all over, and felt that this extremely dark cage had become much better. It could lie lazily on the ground and sleep again, instead of maintaining that extremely strange posture. Cool. Take your time to rest. I'm leaving now. The next day, when the sky was just turning light in the east, Naruto made breakfast and ate it, then stood in front of the mirror to take care of his appearance. He changed into a pure white shirt and black trousers, and an ascetic young boy appeared in the mirror. The only drawback is that the Konoha forehead protector is too ugly. It looks ugly no matter where it is worn. In the end, I had no choice but to tie it on my left arm. Thanks to his much more handsome appearance, few people recognize him as the lowbrow guy he used to be these days. Not only can they buy what they want, but sometimes they even give him discounts. Sure enough, handsome guys are easily liked by others. Being strong is only temporary, but being handsome is a lifelong matter. After getting ready, Naruto went out and attracted a lot of attention when he was rushing to the ninja school, but Naruto didn't care. Handsome guys always have to get used to other people's attention. For example, Uchiha Sasuke, the king of force who is about to become Naruto's teammate, has long been accustomed to the enthusiastic gazes of girls and turns a blind eye to them. Just as Naruto was looking for Sasuke's seat, two figures suddenly appeared from behind him. Naruto, what did you do to Ino? Shikamaru had dead eyes and was extremely lazy. Choji, who had been eating potato chips crazily, also asked, yes, Ino has been sad for a long time because of you. I didn't do anything to her. Naruto said frankly, she blocked me a few days ago, and I knocked her out. How can you just hit your girlfriend like that? Shikamaru said in a serious tone. Naruto. Shikamaru also nodded and said, yes, although I also think women are troublesome, but hitting her is too much, and Ino is a childhood friend of me and Choji, Naruto. What the hell? Naruto raised his eyebrows and asked blankly, what's wrong with you? When did I have a girlfriend? Seeing that Naruto dared to do something but not to take responsibility, Choji frowned and said, you are still pretending. Now everyone knows that you asked Ino to be bullied at night, and she happily went on a date with you the next day, but you still beat her. Chapter 11 Strange Request. Ino and Sakura pushed each other into the classroom at the same time. They didn't get along well with each other, and even who entered the classroom first was one of their daily rivalries. But after entering the classroom, this atmosphere of hostility suddenly changed. Anobo, I win again today. Ino didn't open her mouth to mock, so Sakura spoke first, but she didn't wait for the next sentence. The enemy knows her best. Ino's sudden strangeness made her feel something was wrong, so she glanced at Ino out of the corner of her eye, only to see that she was looking at Shikamaru, Choji and Naruto in front of her. To be precise, she was probably just looking at Naruto. Sakura sneered, no way, Anobo, could the rumors these days be true? I can't believe you're secretly interested in Naruto. During the few days of vacation, the news spread like wildfire among their peers. It was said that on the day when Ino and Naruto were to hand in their ninja registration books, they were beaten in the street by Naruto because of their relationship problems. Many villagers around were witnesses. Some people say that Ino asked Naruto why he abandoned her, and was slapped unconscious by Naruto. Some people say that it was because Naruto cheated on her, so Ino went to argue with him and ended up being beaten up. Some even said that Ino begged not to break up, but was kicked in the abdomen by Naruto, causing a large pool of blood to flow. There are all kinds of outrageous rumors. Sakura didn't believe that things could be so magical at first, but now it seems that there may be some truth in the rumors. Although it is impossible to be so exaggerated, something must have happened between Ino and Naruto that day, otherwise there wouldn't be so many rumors. Ugly broad forehead, if you spread rumors again I will tear your mouth apart. Ino glared at him. She was just unhappy that she was knocked unconscious after trying to stop Naruto. How come so many rumors came out of nowhere? These people were really mean. It only takes a little time to spread rumors, but it takes a lot of effort to refute them. Even Shikamaru and Choji in front were discussing this matter. Ino became even more angry. These two bastards grew up together, can't they tell the difference between the facts? Ino was just about to go over and clarify the facts, but Naruto's reaction was even more intense. Don't slander me, you two. What you heard are all rumors. I have nothing to do with Ino. As for me, I have no interest in love-brained little girls. Listening to Naruto's rather helpless voice, Ino felt an inexplicable surge of bitterness. When had she ever been despised like this before? Only Naruto, the guy who first teased her, then knocked her out, and now still despises her. Don't talk like anyone wants anything to do with you. It was Ino's delicate rebuke that made Naruto and the other two realize that Ino and Sakura were standing behind them. Ino looked at Naruto with red eyes. Shikamaru and Choji were switching back and forth between Naruto and Ino. Ino's appearance made them doubt the truthfulness of what Naruto had just said. Naruto was speechless for a while. Well, all the explanations just now were in vain. Sighing, Naruto found a random seat and sat down. Choji and Shikamaru surrounded Naruto on his left and right, with gossip ignited in their eyes. Sakura gave Naruto a thumbs up, Ino glared at him and quickly walked to the corner of the back row, sitting far away from Naruto, but her eyes were always focused on him, as if she wanted to kill him with her eyes. Asshole! 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 Behind Naruto, Hinata Hyuga, who was still wrapped in a thick cotton sweater in April, silently listened to the conversation between the three boys in the front row, gently poking each other with her 2 index fingers, her eyes sometimes happy, sometimes gloomy. Naruto-kun said he has nothing to do with Ino. Opening parenthesis closing parenthesis. Naruto-kun said she has no interest in little girls. Underscore. Although she had a lot of ideas, Hinata was shy and never intended to express her thoughts. She just listened to them silently, lowered her head and said nothing. Naruto didn't notice what Hinata and Ino were thinking. He didn't have time to observe them. Just as Naruto had said to Shikamaru and Choji before, he had no interest in little girls at all. Anyone who dared to show interest has already 404 feet deep. Suddenly a fist landed on the table in front of Naruto. Looking up from the fist, he saw Ya with an angry look on his face. Naruto, come and fight me again. I was careless last time. I will definitely defeat you this time, he said, gritting his teeth. Being defeated by Naruto in one move a few days ago has become a shame for him. Because of this, he has not dared to go out to play these days and has been hiding at home to practice. When he sees Naruto again today, he plans to get back at him. No fight. Naruto refused directly. Why don't you fight? Are you scared? You're too weak. Naruto glanced at him coldly. This big loser couldn't even make a choice now, so he was in no mood to make trouble with him. What did you say? Ya's face turned red as liver color, and he felt very angry. It was really frustrating to be ridiculed by the person who used to be the last in the class. You have to fight me today. Hey, Kiba, stop messing around. This is a ninja briefing, Shikamaru advised. It's none of your business. Ya threw his hand stubbornly and glared at Naruto. Naruto must fight me today. Naruto-kun. Hinata stared at the two people arguing in the front seat with great attention, and secretly became worried about Naruto. You're annoying. Naruto's eyes turned cold. Ya was frightened by his stare and swallowed unconsciously, but she was still very stubborn. Why, you are not too scared to fight. Kiba was betting that Naruto was just bluffing. The ninja briefing was on the last day of the ninja school. If he didn't beat Naruto today, he would be labeled as the last one to be defeated for some time to come. He was unwilling to endure such humiliation. At this time, because of Kiba's noise, the whole class's eyes were on them. Everyone wanted to watch the fun, and most of them hoped that Naruto would accept the challenge to see if Naruto could still beat Kiba, who was giving his all. Naruto accepts the challenge. Isn't it true that you don't dare? Naruto, are you scared by Ya? The crowd kept on making a noise. Although Naruto won the last time, the people here were not even official genin, so in their eyes the last battle was fake. They thought that Kiba's posture at that time did not look like he was going to fight seriously, so Naruto might have defeated Kiba just by catching him by surprise. It's wrong for adults to fight, stop shouting. Hinata was worried and scared, but she still stood up bravely and tried to dissuade the people around her from making a fuss. But her voice was so small that it was completely drowned out by the booing. Naruto had sharp ears and heard Hinata's voice. He looked back and happened to meet Hinata's eyes. He smiled at Hinata and said, "Don't worry." Faced with the sudden smile, Hinata's heart skipped a beat, her snow-white cheeks turned visibly red, and then she quickly lay down on the table and covered her head like a frightened deer. Naruto-kun. He smiles so beautifully. Ino, who was sitting in the corner of the last row, felt inexplicably unhappy when she saw this scene. Naruto, this disgusting bastard, despised her so much, but he was smiling at Hinata. Kiba felt that he was being disrespected. Naruto was the guy he was challenging, but he ignored him and went to talk to a girl. Naruto, if you're scared just say so, Kiba said angrily. Well, since you want to be beaten so much, I will grant your wish. Naruto turned around and twisted his neck. This is the first time I have heard such a strange request. Naruto was too lazy to fight with Kiba. There was no point in bullying a weakling, but he couldn't blame him for the weakling's aggressiveness. Just as Naruto was about to stand up to fight, a cold voice came from not far away. Kana, Naruto is right, you are too weak. The one who should fight Naruto now is me. Uchiha Sasuke stood up from the protagonist seat by the window and stared at Naruto, his eyes full of fighting spirit. Passive selection trigger. Close black lens bracket. Chapter 12. Why don't you avoid it? Is that him? The survivor of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Sasuke. It seems that he didn't get the first place among the rookies this year. First place goes to the young man he is challenging, the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, Uzumaki Naruto. In the Hokage building, in the Hokage's office, a group of Jonin were standing beside the Sandaime Hokage, staring at the crystal ball that had been used with the telescope technique by the Sandaime. The Jonin who will lead the new generation of Konoha are observing the boys and girls who are about to become their disciples. It's quite surprising that Uzumaki Naruto could surpass Uchiha Sasuke and become the number one. Hitaki Kakashi murmured. So now Uchiha Sasuke wants to challenge Uzumaki Naruto to regain the first place. The third Hokage's son Asuma Sarutobi said, I am quite optimistic about him. What do you think, Kakashi? Although he was asking Kakashi, he was actually glancing at the face of the female Jonin next to him. She has an exquisite hairstyle, with long wavy hair draped over her shoulders like an ink painting. She wears a red mid-V-line miniskirt with a translucent black mesh top underneath. She has an elegant and dignified figure, beautiful makeup, and an extraordinary temperament. This is Kurenai Yuhi, the childhood sweetheart that Asuma Sarutobi has loved for many years. Now the relationship between the two of them is more than friendship but less than romance, and they just need the finishing touch. If they can take one more step, it is probably only a matter of time before they confess their love and become boyfriend and girlfriend. Kakashi glanced at him speechlessly with his dead fish eyes and said perfunctorily, well, I am also optimistic about him. Don't be too confident. We'll know who wins and who loses when we see it. The third generation looked at the crystal ball with great interest. As the only person here who knew Naruto's background, he was very confident in Naruto's strength. How could a child who has been personally taught by 4 generations be bad? However, the talented young men of the Uchiha clan are not bad either. How big is the difference in their strength? Notify Iruka to go to school later to give them enough time to decide the winner. Kakashi, you go first and be ready to intervene at any time. Yes. Passive selection trigger. Close black lens bracket. Uchiha Sasuke sees that your defeat of Kiba is no accident. He now has an unprecedented fighting spirit towards you and challenges you. What choice will you make? Option 1. Stay friendly. Persuade him to put down his hostility towards you and swear to be his best friend. Completion reward passionate transformer. Choice 2. Treat it rationally. Accept the challenge and successfully defeat the opponent. Completion reward fire attribute chakra. Choice 3. Act recklessly. The pretty boy is pretty. Accept the challenge, successfully defeat the opponent and press him to the ground and rub him hard. Completion reward Sasuke's corruption value is 10%. Choice 4. Ruthless. Accept the challenge and kill him successfully. Completion reward 3 Magatama Sharingan. Naruto quickly glanced at the 4 choices. The cruel one was still cruel, and the perverted one was still perverted. Naruto was curious about new things, and checked in advance what the reward for Sasuke's depravity value and the passionate transformation device were. The result was really shocking. It became a multiple choice question again. I could only get one reward and it felt like I had lost 100 million. Hey, Uchiha Sasuke, don't be so crazy. Why, did I say something wrong? You are indeed not strong. You are such a jerk. First being ignored by Naruto and then being mocked by Sasuke, Kiba was almost unable to hold back his temper, but he was definitely no match for Sasuke. After staring at Sasuke for a few seconds, Kiba clenched his fist and said, okay, after you and Naruto are done, I will challenge you. I accept your challenge. Sasuke smiled contemptuously. The thing that the Uchiha clan lacked the least was confidence. He fully believed that after fighting with Naruto, he would still have the strength to defeat Kiba. Wow, as expected, Sasuke-kun, so handsome. That smile hits my heart. That's so cool, Sasuke is just different. Sasuke's arrogant remarks immediately caused quite a commotion. Stars seemed to appear in the girl's eyes, with Sakura's cheers being the loudest. She had just given Naruto a thumbs up, but as soon as Sasuke said he wanted to challenge Naruto, she turned around and started cheering for Sasuke. Ino looked at Naruto with a smile on her face. You damn bastard, I can't beat you, but this time it's Sasuke-kun who's doing the fighting, so just prepare to get your beating. Yajiyu said. Tisk, these women are blind, wait until I defeat Sasuke, and see what you have to say. Choji chewed potato chips. Can I eat it if I'm handsome? Aburame Shino suddenly appeared like a ghost and said faintly, I think most of them like strong ones. Otherwise, Naruto is also very handsome now, why doesn't anyone support Naruto? Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Naruto looked at Shino and silently moved away from him. Naruto, give up. Shikamaru advised. Sasuke is indeed stronger than all of us. There is no hope of defeating him. How can you be so sure that I will lose? Naruto smiled calmly, stood up, looked at Sasuke, and said with the same contempt, I accept your challenge. This action also caused a commotion among the girls, but basically all of them were verbal attacks on Naruto. Oh, you really dare to accept the challenge? You really have no self-awareness. Who does he think he is? Just because he defeated Kiba he thinks he can fight Sasuke-kun. You slacker, do you think Sasuke-kun is also Kiba? There is nothing you can do about girls' unreasonable bias. Compared to Naruto, who has just become handsome, Sasuke has been an idol in the ninja school for several years. Moreover, Sasuke's superficial identity is much better than Naruto's. He is a child of a big family, has been the top student in the school for several consecutive years, and is also handsome. He simply leaves no chance for other boys to survive. Naruto is a well-known fox demon, a child that his parents don't allow to get close to, and he has always been the last in the class. People are used to looking down on him. Even if he becomes handsome and defeats Kiba, he cannot change other people's views of him in a short period of time. Naruto never thought about changing them. They are just a bunch of insignificant little characters. What's there to worry about? The group arrived at the training ground of the ninja school. Naruto and Sasuke stood in the center, surrounded by Sasuke's little fans. Come on, Sasuke. Sakura was still cheering loudly for Sasuke. Come on, Sasuke, beat Naruto hard. Ino made her hands into a trumpet shape and shouted, looking forward to the bastard Naruto being beaten down with great joy. Only Hinata looked at Naruto timidly, praying in her heart that Naruto would not be beaten too badly. Naruto, I hope you can hold on for a few more seconds and help me consume Sasuke's physical strength. At this time, Kiba was already thinking about how to fight Sasuke after Naruto was defeated, and how to defeat Sasuke. Even Shikamaru and Choji, who get along well with Naruto, don't believe that Naruto has any chance of defeating Sasuke. Choji said, let's go help Naruto later. Shikamaru held his forehead helplessly. This is the only way, that guy is still the same and won't listen to any advice. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, Sasuke cautiously assumed a fighting stance. He was not an idiot who would become overconfident when praised. Since he challenged Naruto because he thought Naruto was strong, he would take this battle seriously. I hope Naruto isn't too weak, that would be disappointing for him. Naruto was thinking that the flickering technique was a technique that used a large amount of chakra to cover the legs to achieve a speed that exceeded one's own limit. The previous two times, whether it was fighting against Kiba or knocking out Ino, Naruto used his own chakra to increase his speed. So what kind of effect can be achieved if the Nine Tails chakra, which can greatly enhance abilities in all aspects, is used this time? How much will the speed increase? Naruto hasn't tried it yet, and he is looking forward to the battle with Sasuke. The genius boy of the Uchiha family should be able to experience a hearty battle. Sasuke said coldly. Go ahead. Naruto nodded slightly. Okay. As soon as he finished speaking, Sasuke saw a shadow running towards him. Not good. Too fast. By the time Sasuke could see Naruto clearly, Naruto had already swung his fist wrapped in the Nine Tails chakra and hit Sasuke's abdomen with all his strength. Naruto was still thinking about asking until his fist was about to make intimate contact with Sasuke's belly. Why don't you avoid it? Is he preparing to use a substitute technique? Then Naruto's fist made close contact with Sasuke's abdomen, and Naruto witnessed with his own eyes that Sasuke opened another special eye of Konoha. Roll your eyes. Chapter 13. I'm sorry, Ino. There was silence. Whether it was the group of Nizuzi's fans who were watching from all sides, or the group of Jonin who were monitoring with a crystal ball in the Hokage's office, they all widened their eyes and looked at Sasuke in disbelief as he was knocked away by Naruto's punch. It would be fine if Kiba was killed instantly with one strike, but how could even Uchiha Sasuke, who has always been number one, end up like this? This is really horrifying. Just as Sasuke was sailing away at high speed, a white-haired masked man wearing a Konoha ninja vest suddenly appeared and caught Sasuke's body. Well, you can already use the Nine Tails chakra flexibly. Kakashi marveled in his heart. He is truly worthy of being Minato's son. It's just that the attack was a bit too cruel. I don't know how badly this genius of the Uchiha family will be hit. I hope he doesn't lose his mentality. Let's send him to the hospital first. Kakashi looked down at Sasuke who had fainted, and without saying a word, he hugged Sasuke and disappeared into the crowd. Sasuke-kun. He also lost to Naruto. That's impossible. Am I hallucinating? It's fake. I must be dreaming, right? Over the past few years, the powerful impression that Sasuke left on his classmates was too deep, so it is really difficult for his little fans to accept Sasuke's failure now. Moreover, Naruto, who was the last one, killed Sasuke instantly with one blow. It was a super crushing victory that left no room for sophistry. Even if it was Sasuke, would his fate be the same as Kiba's? Shikamaru swallowed, his eyes glazed over. Choji's potato chips fell to the ground. Then both of them felt a pain in their arms. Ino, what are you doing? It hurts. Let me try and see if I'm dreaming. Then you won't pinch yourself. Shikamaru quickly took Choji away from Ino. Ino stared blankly at Naruto who was surrounded by everyone in front of her, with complicated feelings. How could Naruto be so strong? Was he pretending all along? How could a scumbag like him who loves to talk trash and humiliate girls? The genius boy of the Uchiha family is just like this. Naruto sighed in disappointment. He thought he could have a good fight, but this was the result. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing option 2. The reward Fire Attribute Chakra has been successfully issued. In an instant, Naruto felt a burning sensation surging in the meridians in his body, and even his internal organs became warm. From then on, he had an additional attribute of chakra in his body. Naruto already has wind attribute chakra in his body. He remembers fire and wind, and confused them into a bloodline limit, scorch release. You can do more research on this in the future. The more power you have, the more ability you will have to protect yourself. As the Jinchuriki of the tailed beast, Naruto's road is not smooth. The villain Danzo of Konoha who secretly possesses Kotoamatsukami, Akatsuki who is about to start a plan to capture the tailed beasts, the madman Uchiha who wants to start the infinite Tsukuyomi in the future, as well as other unknown variables that may occur, all require sufficiently strong strength to deal with. Also, there are people and things that have not been dealt with yet. Don't let anyone, no matter what, come and cause trouble. Turning his head to look at Kiba in the crowd, Naruto said, Kiba, you want to challenge me, don't you? Come here quickly while it's still early. The tooth that was called out suddenly felt a little scared. Naruto, let's not fight. Ya shook his head in refusal. Why? Naruto narrowed his eyes, smiled shyly, pointed at himself and said, didn't you just say that you had to fight me today? I have already accelerated the battle with Sasuke to give you this face. Now it's your turn. There was gentleness in his words. But those who heard it couldn't help but feel a chill down their spine. If there is still anyone at this moment who thinks that Naruto's previous victory over Kiba was exaggerated, then he is a complete idiot. Kiba himself is not stupid. Sasuke was knocked down by Naruto with one blow, so how could he possibly beat Naruto? The former last place team has made a comeback and become the first, which really makes me jealous. No, Naruto is definitely not a loser. He is an absolute genius. He must have been acting crazy and stupid like a clown before. Although I don't know why Naruto did that, this is the only reasonable explanation. Naruto, I'm sorry. I was too impulsive before. I hope you can forgive me. Kiba felt that he had done the right thing. Compared to being knocked out again, it was not shameful to surrender to a genius who was even more talented than Sasuke. Naruto stared at Kiba's face quietly and secretly felt annoyed. It's not that he's annoying, he doesn't deserve it. What really annoyed Naruto was that the third Hokage was watching his every move, Kakashi who suddenly appeared, and the Anbu who followed him at all times. If he ignored Kiba's apology and still attacked Kiba, one can imagine what the consequences would be. Passive selection trigger. Close black lens bracket. You are extremely upset at this moment. You are very unhappy. When you are unhappy, you need to find someone to relieve your anger. The choice you will make is Target 1. Yamanaka Ino. Pinch her face and verbally humiliate her in public. Completion reward 200,000 taels. Target 2. Hyuga Hinata. Take advantage of the crowd and confess your love to her in public. When she agrees, laugh at her and say you were just joking with her, making her completely embarrassed. Completion reward 500,000 taels. Target 3. Haruno Sakura. Hold her hand, forcibly bring her to your house and beat her up until she is black and blue. Completion reward 1 million taels. Question mark. Why is the reward all money this time? Do I look like I'm short of money? Well, when I think about it carefully, I am indeed a little short of money. I have just arrived in this world for a few days and I have basically spent all of the original owner's savings. I have bought a lot of delicious food and drinks, and more than 10 sets of clothes. Well, let's just forget it. Naruto glanced at Ya and thought to himself, you're smart, apologize quickly. As Naruto finished speaking, Ya let out a deep breath and his tense body relaxed. Naruto, don't worry, I'll wait for you when I become stronger. Yaju raised his fist, wanting to bump fists with Naruto to make peace. However, Naruto simply swerved around him and said coldly, then wait until you become stronger. After saying that, Naruto headed straight towards the group of people on the left. What is this guy doing so arrogantly? Ya clenched his fists. Sooner or later, he would beat this guy Naruto down. At this moment, Ino looked at Naruto who was standing in front of her, feeling a little at a loss. Her emerald green eyes flashed with stubbornness. Even if Sasuke couldn't beat Naruto, she was still not afraid. As long as Naruto dares to pick a fight with her, she will beat him even if she can't win. Naruto, what are you going to do? Ino straightened her back and looked at Naruto. The spring breeze was a little damp, ruffling Ino's soft blonde bangs and leaving a morning mist between her hair. Looking at the girl's elegant oval face, Naruto thought to himself, I don't want to do anything, but I'm short of money. If I had money to buy kunai and detonating tags, I would definitely give up the mission. So I'm sorry, Ino. After taking a breath, Naruto grabbed Ino's face. Soft and delicate. Chapter 14 He likes me. Although Sakura received the highest reward, there was no proper reason to beat her up, and beating up a companion for no reason was clearly not in line with the third Hokage's ideal for him. It's too dangerous, give up beating Sakura. Hinata just spoke up for Naruto, and Naruto didn't want to bully her, so he gave up on playing a prank on Hinata. In the end, Naruto had no choice but to let Ino suffer a little and use her to make money. Anyway, Naruto saw that she had just cheered for Sasuke and she seemed quite happy, so it could barely be considered a reason to bully her. Uzumaki Naruto, what are you going to do? Ino was completely confused, staring at Naruto with her beautiful eyes, her tone indignant. Just now you seem to have been shouting for Uchiha Sasuke to beat me up. I warn you not to do this again, or I will break your legs. Naruto said this with a fierce expression, and felt that this level of humiliation was about enough. Ino was furious. She stepped back and shook off Naruto's hand, shouting at him, "Who's afraid of who? Come on if you have the guts. Even if I can't beat you, I won't be afraid of you." Ino had the temperament of a tomboy. After shaking off Naruto's hand, she stood only one step away from Naruto, raised her head and stared into Naruto's eyes with her almond-shaped eyes. Her rosy little mouth slightly opened and she gritted her teeth, wondering why such a disgusting soul lived in this face that was obviously a little more handsome than Sasuke's. At this moment, Naruto didn't care about what she said or her eyes at all. What Ino thought was a look in the eye was actually just Naruto waiting for the notification sound of the reward arriving. If the prompt sound didn't come, Naruto planned to pinch Ino's face again. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing Goal 1. The reward 200,000 taels has been stored in the cabinet at your residence. Please check it carefully. Well, it seems that Ino is still lucky. Naruto said nothing more and left the training ground. Soon after, everyone present followed suit. Shikamaru and Choji slowly walked to Ino's side and joined her. You two bastards, what with the pig, deer and butterfly, just disband. Ino got angry when she saw them, her face fell, and she gave each of them a claw. You saw me being bullied, and you didn't help me. Shikamaru cried out in pain. Hiss tilde it hurts. Dinky said aggrievedly, but isn't Naruto your boyfriend? How do you want us to help? Damn it. I'll say it again, I have nothing to do with Uzumaki Naruto. Ino was furious and wished she could swallow up Choji, who was several tons heavier than her. But Naruto's behavior just now doesn't seem to have nothing to do with you, and there were rumors about you before. Choji said with a bitter face. There is no rumor between him and me, and are you blind? We were clearly about to fight just now, okay. He even said he would break my legs. Ino was furious and gave each of his two childhood friends a claw again. Choji and Shikamaru's brows twitched because of being pinched. They thought to themselves that if they had known earlier, they would not have come to find Ino. It was too painful. Naruto, you were just saying that out of anger. After all, as his girlfriend, you actually cheered for Sasuke. Shikamaru escaped from Ino's range and thought for a moment to stop her temper before continuing. Naruto looked very sad when he left just now. As a friend, I have never seen Naruto look so lost. He was looking for trouble just now, but he challenged you to a fight directly. But when it came to you, he just touched you, and you scolded him and he just left quietly. Why? Hearing this, Ino was also stunned. What Shikamaru said seemed to be true. When Naruto turned around and left, his expression suddenly became very depressed. If you think about it carefully, although Naruto said something fierce, he actually didn't do anything to her. Even the last time she went to block Naruto, she was knocked unconscious and after waking up, she was lying on a chair by the roadside without any injuries on her body. But that's not right. Hasn't Naruto always liked Sakura? And many more. Ino's eyes widened, and she suddenly realized something. When Naruto was pursuing Sakura, he always looked very ugly, and his performance in all aspects was always at the bottom. However, in recent days, it has been proved that Naruto is very handsome and incredibly strong. Why did he deliberately pretend to be ugly? How could he possibly attract girls that way? Maybe he doesn't like Sakura at all, but wants to disgust her. Ino vaguely remembered that Naruto pursued Sakura right after she and Sakura had a falling out. Also, what Naruto said just now, you seem to be shouting for Uchiha Sasuke to beat me up. I warn you not to do this again in the future, sounds like a threat, but if you think about it carefully, you can taste the inexplicable jealousy in it. Could it be that the one Naruto really likes is me? Ino was inexplicably dazed after coming to this conclusion. The figure of Naruto who had just turned and left in front of her gradually became depressed, lost, and gloomy in her mind. Choji, who had already walked away, poked Shikamaru beside him and said, "Is what you just said true? Why didn't I notice that Naruto was lost? Do you want me to get some snacks to comfort Naruto? I'm behind him, how would I know if he's happy or sad?" Shikamaru said listlessly. Choji was stunned. "Then why did you tell Ino that Naruto was lost? Idiot, do you want to be choked by Ino again? It was Naruto who provoked her, but we are the ones who suffer." Shikamaru yawned with dead eyes. Women are such troublesome creatures. Let Naruto, the culprit, worry about it himself. After Naruto sat in the classroom for a long time, teacher Iruka finally came and announced the class division. It was no different from the original story. Hinata, Kiba, and Shino still formed the 8th team. Shikamaru, Choji, and Ino formed the Ino-Shika-Cho Team 10. The only unexpected change is that the second pillar of Team 7 was sent to Konoha Hospital by Naruto. It will probably take a while for him to come back from the hospital, and his classmates will have to notify him by then. After discussing many matters, Iruka left first, leaving them to wait for the guiding Jonin to lead them. The 8th team's instructor, the Jonin Yuhi Kurenai, arrived first and asked everyone in the 8th team to follow her. Yahui glanced at Naruto and silently swore in his heart that he must practice hard and then defeat Naruto. The cute girl Hinata glanced at Naruto before leaving. Naruto saw it and waved to her generously. "Bye Hinata, see you next time." Naruto's every move always made Hinata blush. She lowered her head in panic, stretched out her little hand and waved goodbye to Naruto. "Naruto-kun, see you next time." After saying that, Hinata covered her face and ran out of the classroom first. Ino, who was standing behind, saw this scene and for some reason, felt angry for no apparent reason. "You won't allow me to cheer for Sasuke, but you can say goodbye to Hinata on your own. P.S. Please keep reading, please keep reading, please keep reading. I have to say it many times because it is important. Please keep reading." Chapter 15 Live Happily. Naruto, we're leaving now. Please wait. The guiding Jonin of Team 10 also arrived. Choji and Shikamaru waved goodbye to Naruto. Naruto nodded slightly, waved back to them, and then continued to stare at the ceiling and wait boredly. For some unknown reason, Ino, who had already walked to the classroom door, suddenly turned around and said, "Bye," to Naruto. However, Naruto subconsciously thought that Ino was not talking to him. Their relationship was not good to begin with, and he had provoked her several times in recent days. It would be a kindness for him not to spit at her before leaving, so how could he possibly say goodbye? Ino stared into Naruto's clear blue eyes and waited for a long time but got no response from him, feeling depressed. "Why are you so stingy? Don't talk anymore, no one will care about you." Ino said something harsh against her will, pouted her lips and turned away. As they were about to part, it would be impossible for them to meet every day like they did in school. In fact, Ino wanted to ask Naruto what was going on before she left. Ask Naruto why he played the clown to tease Sakura, and whether it was really for her. Ask Naruto why he was angry because she cheered for Sasuke, and whether he really liked her. But the girl Ino has always had a bad temper. Even though Naruto ignored her, she didn't want to bow her head. She maintained her pride and quickly followed the guiding senior ninja Asuma. Only after that did Ino begin to regret why she left in such a hurry. What if I wait a little longer and he starts talking? Was she talking to you just now? Naruto looked at the pink-haired girl Sakura not far away. Sakura has very fair skin and a slightly delicate oval face. In fact, she is quite pretty, but her brain is not quite right. She is the most crazy fan of Sasuke. Sakura said uncertainly. She had not paid any attention to the situation over there. Her mind was full of thoughts about how to get along with Sasuke and Naruto in the future. The two strongest and most handsome men in the class suddenly became her partners. She likes Sasuke and Naruto likes her. What a complicated relationship. After getting Sakura's answer, Naruto nodded thoughtfully. Just now, when Ino was talking, she had been looking over here, and he almost mistakenly thought that Ino was talking to him. In the afternoon, Everyone in the classroom except Naruto and Sakura had left. Sakura paced back and forth in the corridor bored. She wanted to talk to Naruto to relieve her boredom, but Naruto had been sleeping on the table for a long time. The breeze outside the window blew the fallen leaves from the treetops into the classroom and fell on Naruto's face. In the sunlight, Naruto's fair skin reflected brightly. Sakura found this scene extremely beautiful. As a beauty-obsessed girl, she really couldn't bear to disturb Naruto's sleep. If she wasn't waiting for guidance from the Jonin, she would even want to rent a camera outside to capture this scene. Naruto, why did you become so good-looking? It's hard for me to choose between you and Sasuke. When Sakura muttered these words unconsciously, Naruto's eyelids twitched. What the hell are you going to choose? Who will let you choose? Common girl, really humble. In fact, Naruto was not asleep, he was just too lazy to pay attention to Sakura. The girls in this world are too precocious. They are so young, but they don't work hard all day long and just think about dating handsome guys. In this class, Naruto felt that the arrogant Hokage was like a normal person. He only wanted to become stronger. This was the normal thinking of a ninja. After an unknown amount of time, the instructor of Team 7 and the third companion finally arrived at the classroom. Seeing them, Sakura smiled, her eyes full of joy. Sasuke-kun, you are finally back. How are you? Are you seriously injured? Sasuke ignored Sakura, his eyes bypassing her and staring straight at Naruto, who stood up and stretched, his eyes full of fighting spirit. This guy Naruto actually defeated him with just one blow. Sasuke couldn't believe it. When he woke up, he found himself in the Konoha hospital. Standing next to him was a white-haired senior ninja who recounted the whole story for him and forced him to accept the fact. Naruto, I will fight you again, Sasuke said coldly. Hearing this, Naruto scratched his head. He was not surprised that Sasuke would say that. He even believed that Sasuke would take practical action. Although Nizuzi was very crazy, he was really brave enough to fight. Okay, I will wait for you. Naruto yawned lazily before asking, when are we leaving? The classroom has been empty for hours. I'm sorry to have kept you two waiting for so long. As you can see, I brought your companion back from the hospital, so it took a little while. I am your instructor, Jonin Hitaki Kakashi. Now please follow me. After saying this, Kakashi, with only one eye showing on his face, led the three people to the rooftop of the ninja school. First, please introduce yourself. What do you like? What do you hate? Your interests, your dreams, just talk about it. Kakashi said. During this period of waiting, Sakura was almost going crazy. Whenever she got a chance to speak, she would just pour out all the words she had stored away for hours. My name is Haruno Sakura, my hobbies are, my interests are, my dreams are. Sakura glanced at Sasuke as she spoke, and finally couldn't help but scream out, ah. Kakashi noticed that when she was looking at Sasuke, she would secretly glance at Naruto, who was next to Sasuke. For a moment, he was a little confused about who her so-called dream was. As to the dream. Tisk, are today's little girls' views on love so distorted? My name is Uchiha Sasuke. I hate a lot of things, but I don't like anything. My dream is to kill a certain man, and... Sasuke turned his head to look at Naruto in the middle of his words, his face full of fighting spirit. Now there is one more target, I will definitely avenge my humiliation, Naruto. Then come on. Before the fight, Naruto had some interest in Sasuke, but now Sasuke is so weak that Naruto can only feel bored. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I like freedom. My hobby is living happily. My dream is to become a Hokage. The last sentence is false. Naruto's real dream is already included in the first two. As for the dream that was spoken out, it was said for the third generation to hear. The prerequisite for living happily is to first stay alive. Naruto wants the Sandaime to think that although his behavior has become a little strange recently, he has not changed. Well, the self-introduction part is over. Next, I will tell you about tomorrow's plan. That's all for today. Under the gaze of the three, Kakashi told them about the selection of genin, and finally reminded them, gather at the training ground at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning with a set of ninja tools. Friendly reminder, don't eat breakfast, otherwise you will vomit. After saying that, Kakashi disappeared from the sight of the three people. Sakura was almost heartbroken. She had finally passed the exam, but this had to happen. The next day, at daybreak, Naruto got up and glanced at the time. It was only 6 o'clock, so he fell back to sleep. Naruto is not stupid. Why did he have to rush to be fooled by Kakashi even though he knew he would be late? At this time, Sasuke and Sakura had been waiting in the theater with their ninja tools for nearly 2 hours. He slept until 8 o'clock, and after having a hearty breakfast at 9 o'clock, Mingren finally arrived at the training ground. Sasuke and Sakura looked at Naruto at the same time, and Sakura asked, "Naruto, why are you here so late?" "You are late. Because a black cat passed by me, I lost my way in life." Naruto had just finished speaking when Kakashi appeared in the training grounds the next second and repeated the exact same words. Sasuke and Sakura's faces darkened instantly and the atmosphere fell into silence. Kakashi smiled awkwardly and took out 2 bells. "Well, let's start today's assignment. Take the bells away from me before noon." Passive selection trigger. Close black lens bracket. Chapter 16 Who is more important? Start now. Kakashi shouted and disappeared from the sight of the three people at an extremely fast speed. Naruto followed closely behind, and Sasuke and Sakura also dispersed. After quickly climbing up a tree and hiding, Naruto watched the selection first. Hatake Kakashi has started a genin test. Those who he thinks are unqualified will be sent back to the ninja school for retraining. You already know his routine, so what choice will you make? Option 1. Stay friendly. Find Sakura and Sasuke to communicate, tell them the goal, and the three of them work together to pass the level. Completion reward, Scorch Release, Hell Dog. Option 2. Treat it rationally. Use your own ability to seize the bell, and then share it with Sakura and Sasuke, and successfully pass the level. Completion reward, Scorch Release, Scorch Arm. Choice 3. Act recklessly. Do not take the bell, find Sakura's location, and then complete the reward, Scorch Release, Meteor Volcano, in the woods. Choice 4. Ruthless. Kill Kakashi after taking the bell. Completion reward, Rinnegan. Damn multiple choice question. Naruto spat, then began to look around, and soon saw Sakura hiding in a bush. Sakura had too many flaws and they were too obvious, so it made no difference whether she hid or not. He attached the Nine Tails chakra to his legs, held his breath, and used the body flickering technique to flash to Sakura's side. Then, without waiting for Sakura to react, Naruto grabbed her arm and pulled her into the woods on the left. Sakura tensed up nervously at first, then breathed a sigh of relief when she saw it was Naruto, and asked quietly, "Naruto, what are you going to do?" "Don't talk, just follow me." Kakashi stood on a tree, quietly observing the actions of the three people. Naruto was the strongest and pulled Sakura away, so he would start with the one who was alone. Just as Kakashi was observing Sasuke, Sasuke also launched an attack. 2 shurikens came straight towards Kakashi's head. Kakashi casually stretched out 2 fingers to block them. Fire style, great fireball technique. A ball of flame rose up and rushed towards Kakashi at a rapid speed. Before Sasuke could be happy for 2 seconds, Kakashi in front of him turned into a wooden stake. Sasuke was shocked and panicked. Earth escape, the art of beheading in the heart. Suddenly, a pair of hands came through the ground and pulled Sasuke's body into the ground, leaving only his head outside to breathe. Next, it's time to find those 2. Where did they go? 3 minutes later, Kakashi locked onto Sakura's position in the woods 30 meters away. But Sakura looked haggard, and her clothes were covered in mud and in a mess. She looked up and saw Kakashi, and tears rolled down her cheeks. She was truly pitiful. "Teacher Kakashi, Naruto, woo tilde. What's wrong, Naruto?" Naruto said that there are only 2 bells, and as long as I am eliminated directly, then he and Sasuke will definitely be able to successfully advance. Sakura spoke as she cried, her tears flowing like a flood, uncontrollable. Kakashi's face instantly became extremely gloomy. Just now, Naruto pulled Sakura too far and he didn't pay attention to the situation here. If what Sakura said was true, then he would definitely not let Naruto pass. Suddenly a kunai flew directly towards Kakashi, and the attacker was none other than Sakura, who was still crying in front of Rika just now. Kakashi dodged sideways, but dozens of shurikens came from above. He jumped up quickly, and behind him came Naruto holding a Rasengan. Naruto actually knows how to raise the Rasengan. What happened to the ninja school? How could he be rated as a weakling? What on earth does the third generation's Anbu do? The information he gave is inaccurate. Because the fact that Naruto defeated Sasuke with one blow yesterday was so shocking, before coming, Kakashi asked the third Hokage for a copy of Naruto's information sheet, and there was no mention on it that Naruto could use the Rasengan. Now Kakashi has a lot to complain about. Well, this time I'm really embarrassed. At the critical moment, he pulled open his covered Sharingan and used his signature ninjutsu Chidori, which collided with Naruto's Rasengan and was barely offset after a few seconds. The next moment, the sharp kunai was swung from the waist, and the two bells fell steadily into Sakura's hands. No, it should be said that she fell into the hands of Naruto, who used the seduction technique to transform into Sakura. Hey, got it. The attack was successful and Naruto quickly fled backwards. The Jonin was indeed very strong. This time he played all his cards and managed to snatch the bell from Kakashi, who was completely unprepared and bewitched by the perfect version of the seduction technique for a few seconds. After using the perfect version of seduction to confuse the third Hokage last time, Naruto silently memorized this characteristic. It was useful for the third Hokage, so there is no reason why it would not be useful for Kakashi. The perfect version of seduction technique played the biggest role in this success. Naruto, I didn't expect you to use Sakura's appearance to deceive me. Kakashi scratched his head and sighed helplessly. This kid is too talented. He fell into his trap from the very beginning. This is called tactics, teacher Kakashi. Naruto replied with a smile. Kakashi didn't know that there was a qualitative difference between Naruto's seduction technique and transformation technique, and he didn't understand why he was deceived by Naruto's clumsy method of turning into Sakura. After thinking about it, maybe it was because Obito and Rin had too much influence on him. Where's Sakura? Where did you hide her? Kakashi asked. Teacher, I'm here. Sakura crawled out of a mound of earth. Although her body was covered with dust, her face was filled with a bright smile. Naruto really got the bell. Yeah. Kakashi's face turned even darker. Bad enough that his bell was taken away, there were actually spectators. If this matter got publicized, he would lose all his face. Back at the gathering point, Kakashi released Sasuke from the soil and tied him to a wooden stake again. When Sasuke saw the two bells in Naruto's hands, he felt a sense of frustration. He lost to Naruto again. Naruto, you have passed this test. Now it's up to you to decide how to distribute the bells in your hand. Choose one of them as your teammate, or let both of them go back to school to retake the course. Kakashi looked at Naruto solemnly, and the atmosphere at the scene became heavy. The leaves rustled in the wind, and Sasuke lowered his head. He had no expectation that Naruto would share the bell with him. Sakura clutched her palms and looked at Sasuke, then looked at the bell in Naruto's hand. On one side was Sasuke, whom she had always admired, and on the other side was the position of Genin. Haruno Sakura was shaken. Perhaps, if I give up, it will be better for both Naruto and Sasuke. This was what Sakura was thinking. Although Naruto had just consulted Sakura about this, she was the only one who knew that she had actually not contributed at all. Compared to her, perhaps the stronger Sasuke is more suitable to be Naruto's companion. At this moment, Naruto suddenly said, "Give one to each of you, I don't want any." Sakura, Sasuke, Kakashi. The three of them were all stunned. Kakashi frowned and warned carefully, "Naruto, you have to think it over. If you give up the bell, you will have to go back to the ninja school to start over. I've thought it over. Naruto casually threw the bell to Sasuke and Sakura, then waved goodbye. You guys stay as ninjas, I'm going to drive the third Hokage out of office and take over the position of Hokage. Seeing Naruto leaving in style, Sasuke was stunned and asked, why? Don't you still have a dream? Go and fulfill it, boy, said Naruto. Sasuke froze, lowered his head, and was speechless. Sakura pressed, but I don't have any special dreams, so why would you give them to me, Naruto? It's so annoying. Why are there so many nonsense words? Can you please let Kakashi speak up? Naruto really can't stand these two people anymore. They get benefits but still keep asking questions endlessly. But when it comes to acting, you still have to perform to the end. There has never been a rubbish actor in Konoha village. Haven't you always wanted to be with Sasuke? Naruto's lips curved into an arc, a smile on his face, so take it. After saying that, Naruto turned and left. Suddenly, Sakura's heartbeat seemed to stop for a beat, and then vibrated rapidly like a drum, like a soft feather caressing her heart, making her feel itchy. It turns out that Naruto gave the bell to Sasuke and me because of me. Yeah, why didn't I think of that? I've liked Sasuke for the same amount of time as Naruto has liked me, even longer than I've liked Sasuke. Seeing Naruto walking away, Sakura felt as if her heart was being pulled together. At this moment, a question popped up in her mind. Naruto and Sasuke, who is more important? Stop! Kakashi suddenly yelled. Naruto pretended to be confused and asked, what's wrong? Congratulations, you all passed. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing Goal 2. The rewards Scorching Escape, Scorching Arm have been issued successfully. Chapter 17. Grab and Run. Hokage Building. The third Hokage looked at the images transmitted back by the telescope technique, and the smile on his lips couldn't help but widen a little. He was very satisfied with Naruto's performance, which was exactly what he had expected. The third generation was even more convinced that the choice he made was correct. Now the descendants of the Ino, Shika and Cho families are being taught by their son Asuma, while the descendants of the Aburame clan, who are good at reconnaissance, the Inuzuka clan, and the eldest daughter of the Hyuga clan, the largest clan in Konoha, are assigned to work under his future daughter-in-law, Kurenai Yuhi. And so on, create opportunities for Konohamaru and Naruto to form a friendship, and completely bind Naruto to the Hokage series. Then Naruto, who desperately wanted companions, and Kakashi, who valued his companions, grasped Uchiha Sasuke, who also had a tragic experience. Then the new generation of Konoha will be firmly under his control. How Konoha will proceed and who will be the next Hokage is still up to me and I can't change it. June is hot. The sounds of cicadas and birds chirping are endless. At 8 o'clock in the morning, all kinds of breakfast shops on Konoha Street were already open and the aroma filled the air. The food in Konoha was not much different from the world in the previous life. Naruto, who has lived in Konoha for 2 months, is most satisfied with this place in Konoha. What he hates most about Konoha is that there are too many boring tasks such as cleaning rivers, picking up garbage, catching cats and dogs, and chatting with people. After slurping a bowl of Ichiraku ramen, Naruto met the stupid-looking grandson of Konoha, Konohamaru. Uzumaki Naruto, prepare to die. Konohamaru was holding a toy kunai in his hand and rushed towards Naruto with his short legs. Naruto sighed, slapped his forehead helplessly, and then kicked Konohamaru away casually. Konohamaru cried out, ouch, and fell to the ground, holding his stomach and said, Uzumaki Naruto, you really are my greatest rival. You really should not be underestimated. Naruto ignored him and continued walking forward, and when he heard Konohamaru's footsteps catch up again, he kicked him back. I turned left at the intersection and entered Konoha Street number 2. Finally, I no longer heard the voice of that naughty kid. A good day starts with kicking the crown prince. A smile spread across Naruto's lips and he continued walking to where he was going. In fact, Naruto did not treat Konohamaru badly at the beginning. Naruto thought that he was just a child of a few years old and did not understand so many twists and turns. But after being annoyed by Konohamaru for a long time, Naruto really could not stand it anymore and kicked Konohamaru as soon as he saw him. From mid-April to early June, in almost 50 days, Konohamaru had challenged him nearly 60 times. When Konohamaru challenged Naruto for the first time, he said, "Grandpa told me that you are also a challenger for the position of Hokage. Only if I defeat you will I be qualified to challenge the Hokage." Since then, Konohamaru was beaten 2 or 3 times by Naruto on average every day. He is really a cockroach. A little kid couldn't be killed even after being kicked so many times by Naruto. 5 minutes later, Naruto stopped in front of a shop. The shop was very large and occupied a single building. Above it hung a huge wooden plaque with 2 lines of words on it. The top line was, "Ninja Tools," drawn in black ink, and the bottom line was, "Mandiantang," outlined in red ink. This is one of the most profitable shops in Konoha. Naruto has not yet found a second ninja tool shop in Konoha village. Naruto walked into the store and looked around for what he wanted to buy, but he didn't see anything after searching for a long time. "Excuse me, are there no detonating tags today?" Naruto turned his head and asked the girl sitting in the store. She was probably from this store. "Sorry, there will be more in the afternoon. Now I have taken all the detonating talismans, hee." The girl with 2 buns on her head answered politely, her eyes quietly looking at Naruto's face. She has a tendency to be obsessed with looks. The young boy was selecting ninja tools with his back to the light. When he found out there were no detonating tags, his pretty face was tinged with melancholy, looking unreal like a painting. Tenten was so lost in thought that she stood up unconsciously, stretched out her slender white fingers to take out a ninja tool scroll from her pocket, and said to Naruto, "If you really need detonating tags, I can sell you some." Naruto shifted his gaze and took a look at the girl in front of him. She is a little shorter than me, with fair and delicate skin, and a thin figure. She has 2 cute little buns on her hair and wears a pink cheongsam top with trousers. She is a cute girl. A few detonating talismans are of no use. I was originally planning to learn from Xiaonan and use a low-profile version of his ultimate move, but I have no hope for now. It's not that I really need it, I just don't know how to spend the money. Naruto put his hands in his pockets and his words sounded extremely pretentious. Tiantian's filter for his appearance was instantly broken. At this moment, Tiantian wanted to show Naruto her arsenal, and then tell him, "Don't show off your wealth in front of me, otherwise you will be the only one who will be embarrassed." Then forget it. Passive selection trigger. Close black lens bracket. The wealthy woman who spends money like water thinks you dare to show off your wealth in front of her every day, and her favorability towards you has decreased. She no longer wants to sell the detonating talisman to you. What choice will you make? Choice 1. Stay friendly. Beg her to sell you the detonating talisman. Completion reward 30,000 taels. Choice 2. Act recklessly. Steal the scroll of ninja tools from her. Completion reward 100,000 taels. It's this kind of boring reward again. The rewards I got recently were all about money. Naruto's savings have exceeded 2 million taels, and it's still about money. 2 million taels in this world are roughly equivalent to 1 million RMB in the previous life. In other words, the money Naruto earned from completing missions was enough to buy a house in a 4th-tier city in his previous life. And many more. Anything else? Tiantian raised the corners of his lips in satisfaction, thinking to himself, "That's right, who would be so idle as to run to a ninja tool store to wander around even if they don't need to?" Considering his good looks, as long as he stops pretending, I can still sell him some detonating talismans. Just a few of them won't have much impact on me. However, at this moment, she saw the young man in front of her, and a naughty smile appeared on his handsome face. While Tenten was stunned, Naruto grabbed the scroll and ran away. By the time Tenten reacted, he had disappeared. Tiantian chased him out, only to find that the scroll had been thrown on the ground and had not been taken away. The weather was very good today. The sunlight like the tide of the ocean poured into her eyes. Tiantian squinted her eyes. She was a little confused about what the boy was trying to do just now. But it seems interesting. Naruto didn't have the bad habit of stealing other people's things without reason, so when he heard that the reward had arrived, he left the things at the door and rushed towards the Hokage building. Kakashi said that he would take them to do their first C-rank mission today. If you accept this task, you don't have to pick up trash or do boring tasks like catching cats and dogs. Chapter 18. Improper Life Choices. How come they are just little ghosts? Inside the Hokage's office, an old man named Danas, who claimed to be a bridge building expert but looked to be drunk, was quite unhappy with the people assigned by Konoha to protect him. No one in Konoha, including the third Hokage, paid any attention to him. It was just the money for a C-rank mission, so Konoha didn't really care whether he wanted to work for it or not. Old man, if you look down on us, you can choose to issue more advanced tasks if you have money. Naruto gave Danas a very reasonable suggestion. Naruto felt that Konoha's ninja structure could actually be understood as a large super mercenary organization. As long as the profit was enough, they could protect anyone they asked for. But it is obvious that Danas is just a poor and talkative person. He will stop talking when someone confronts him. Well, since Mr. Danas is unwilling to upgrade the mission level, you should go back and get the things you need for the journey. The journey this time is not short. Kakashi waved his hand, signaling the three of them to leave first. We'll leave for Wave Country in 2 hours. Leaving the Hokage's office, Naruto walked in the middle, with Sakura and Sasuke on both sides. Ever since the Genin assessment, they had subconsciously regarded Naruto as their backbone. Uzumaki Naruto, you didn't expect that I'm back, The unwilling little Konohamaru appeared again in front of him. This time, before he could even open his mouth to declare war, Naruto kicked him to the side. Looking at Konohamaru, who was kicked against the wall, Sakura showed a trace of pity on her face. Naruto, isn't it a bit too violent to treat a child like this? When dealing with your opponent, you should give it your all. This is the only way to respect the other party. Naruto made up an excuse. When Sakura heard this, her eyes suddenly lit up. She thought of a question to ask Naruto. She put her hands behind her back and trotted over to Naruto, her soft pink hair fluttering with inertia. What if I were your opponent? Sakura opened her pink lips slightly and asked excitedly, what would you do? Naruto said solemnly, of course I will do my best and give you the greatest respect. Sakura's face fell instantly. She bit her lip and said, believe it or not, next time I won't help you with the garbage cleaning, I'll go help Sasuke. Question mark, question mark, question mark. A series of question marks flashed through his mind. Naruto wanted to ask Sakura what medicine she had taken wrong. It was clearly she who offered to help, but now she was the one who said she didn't want to help. Naruto had never needed her help before. This man is so strange. I think what Naruto said is right. If Naruto had held back in the fight with me 2 months ago, I would have considered it a humiliation. Sasuke put his hands in his trouser pockets and interrupted the conversation between the two. Sakura, it's time for you to become stronger. Sakura's mouth twitched. She wondered what was wrong with these two people. Why did they team up to deal with me? Sakura was so angry that she didn't want to pay attention to them. She turned her head and looked around. In the blink of an eye, Naruto and Sasuke had walked more than 10 meters away. This made Sakura a little angry. They had been companions for 2 months, but these two people never waited for her. Forget about Sasuke, he has been extremely aloof since he was in ninja school. As a result, Naruto is like this now, probably because he is jealous again. Naruto, wait for me. Sakura caught up with the two of them, grabbed Naruto's wrist and said, hey, don't be angry all the time. I will help you pick up trash next time we do a mission. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Naruto blinked in confusion. Why am I angry? Sakura stuck out her tongue and said with a grin, no, I was just talking nonsense. Naruto was speechless, pulling his hand out of Sakura's and putting his hands in his pockets. Women are really incomprehensible. You said you're not angry. Sakura pouted in dissatisfaction, put her hands behind her back and followed Naruto. Sasuke glanced at the two of them out of the corner of his eye. He seemed to smell something wrong. It seemed that Sakura hadn't bothered him for a long time. Humph, that's just right, there is one less stumbling block on the road to becoming stronger. Naruto, I will surpass you sooner or later. 2 hours later, all members of Team 7, along with their client Danas, set off for the Land of Waves. This was the first time for the 3 boys and girls to go out of the village. Sakura was extremely excited and wanted to call Naruto to see any new things she saw along the way. Naruto, look at that pheasant's feathers. They are so bright. Oh, then go ask it if it can sing and dance. You speak so perfunctorily. How can a chicken understand this? Then go ask it. It might really do it. After listening to Naruto's perfunctory words, Sakura kicked a stone on the roadside angrily. Not satisfied yet, she kicked another one. Seeing the pink-haired girl getting so angry, Naruto was not moved at all. He just wanted to make Sakura shut up as she was too nagging. Naruto even suspected that Sakura was a spy sent by Sasuke to disturb his training in order to defeat him sooner. What a pity, Urzuzi, you didn't expect that I don't need to practice. As time passed, the group walked further and further away. When Kakashi was explaining the layout of the 5 major ninja villages to the 3 genin, there was a small puddle of water on the road they passed. After the 5 people passed by, 2 people suddenly jumped out of the puddle, one in front and one behind, and tied up Kakashi in the front with an iron chain. In an instant, they pulled Kakashi and cut him into pieces. The quality of these 2 ninjas is too low, and the selector is not triggered by their appearance. In that case, Naruto is too lazy to pay attention to it and let the limelight be left to the second pillar. Sasuke glanced at Naruto, as if he saw through his thoughts, and snorted coldly, then raised his kunai and rushed straight towards the 2 ninjas. Sakura realized that teacher Kakashi was dead, and she couldn't help but scream in fear. It was the first time she faced the death of a friend and she was so terrified that she didn't know what to do. At this time, Naruto stood in front of her and said softly, "Don't be nervous. Look carefully at where Kakashi-sensei is on the ground. Sasuke will take care of these 2 rookies in a while." Sakura looked in the direction where Kakashi teacher was killed, and the body turned into pieces of wood. It's a substitution technique. When did Naruto find out? Sakura stared at the figure in front of her who was not much taller than her and seemed unusually tall in her eyes at that moment. Passive selection trigger. Close black lens bracket. If it wasn't triggered earlier, it will be triggered now. After taking a look at the content, Naruto raised his brows slightly. He seemed to have discovered the pattern of the selector triggering. Over the past 2 months, more than 80% of the options in the selector are triggered only when they involve women, while the options for men only appear when there is a certain degree of challenge. For example, now, 2 hostile ninjas are right in front of you, but the selector triggers the option about Sakura. And they are not very serious. Naruto thought, why not just change its name to Spicy Selector? Chapter 19 What's so fierce? Fire escape, the technique of big fireball. Sasuke formed a seal and spit out a huge fireball, successfully killing one of them. In the 2-minute duel, even in a 1-on-2 duel, Sasuke was always in an advantageous position. Now there was only one left, so there was no doubt that Sasuke won this battle. The other person wanted to kill Sasuke when he was performing ninjutsu, but unexpectedly Sasuke raised his leg and kicked him high up. HMPH, compared to Naruto, you two are still far behind in strength. There was a hint of coldness and arrogance in Sasuke's eyes, and his eyes unconsciously looked in Naruto's direction. Did you see that, Naruto? In order to defeat you, I have been training like crazy in the past 2 months, and this is the result. After a while, I will truly defeat you. With the corners of his mouth slightly raised, Sasuke looked excited and continued to chase the hostile ninja. Naruto didn't pay attention to the exciting fighting scenes where Sasuke stole the show. Now Naruto is struggling with how to make a choice. Should he choose or give up? Now you are far away from Konoha. Kakashi is watching you from a distance, Sasuke is fighting with the enemy ninja, and there is only one ordinary person, Dana's, by your side, which provides good conditions for your evil heart. What choice will you make? Choice 1. Stay friendly. Restrain your inner desires and protect Sakura here. Completion reward 10,000 taels. Choice 2. Treat it rationally. Trick Sakura into holding your hand and take advantage of the opportunity. Completion reward 2% control of the nine-tailed fox. Choice 3. Act recklessly. Don't worry about anything. Now that you are bold enough, tie up Sakura using the tortoise-shell binding method and drag her to the grove. Completion reward Devil's Contract X1. Choice 4. Cruel. Kill Sakura and take her body away to make a specimen. Completion reward Talent. It is easier to find the body. After glancing at the options, Naruto's goal stopped at option 4. He didn't expect to get a talent reward. However, neither this talent nor the conditions for delegating the reward were suitable for Naruto. Repay kindness with kindness and revenge with hatred. Even though Sakura talks a lot and is a bit annoying, it's not enough to kill her. And even if he was just a stranger to Sakura, after killing her he would have to escape from Kakashi's sight with her body. The difficulty factor was too high and such an adventurous thing was not worth it. But if I don't get any rewards, I feel like I'm losing out. Tisk, so annoying. If I remember correctly, Sakura seemed to become Sasuke's wife in the end. It might not be a good idea to make other choices in front of Sasuke. After thinking about it, Naruto still wanted to get the reward. If you select nothing after browsing through the options, then isn't that a waste of time? I can only feel sorry for Sasuke. After making the decision, Naruto called back, Sakura. Now that the crisis had been resolved, Sakura's expression gradually returned to normal. When she heard Naruto calling her, she looked up and asked, "What's wrong?" "Hold my hand." Naruto moved his hand slightly. "Hey. This. Hearing this, Sakura was stunned for a moment and a faint blush began to appear on her face. Naruto said he wanted to hold hands. This was too sudden for a little girl who had just been frightened of death. Besides, she's not ready yet. Her voice became smaller and smaller. "Why do you say that all of a sudden? Why so many whys? Hurry up and pull it." Naruto had a blank expression on his face and his tone sounded like an order. "I know, why are you so fierce?" Sakura seemed to be angry and grabbed Naruto's outstretched hands with her two little hands. She felt the warmth of Naruto's skin on her palms and she seemed to hear the sound of a rattle. Did Naruto just give me an order? How did he become so overbearing? But it seems that it feels good to be given an order by him. Dong dong dong. Is this a heartbeat? Before Sakura could listen carefully to the rhythm of her own heartbeat, Naruto suddenly pulled his hand back. She was stunned for half a second, then stared blankly at Naruto as he put his hands in his trouser pockets. "Naruto, didn't you ask me to hold your hand?" Sakura clenched her fists and said angrily. But Naruto was staring ahead, not knowing what he was looking at, and said casually, "Oh, it's already tied." This sentence almost made Xiaoying explode. "Hey, you are so annoying." Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing goals 1 and 2. The reward 10,000 taels of currency and 2% of the 9 taels control has been successfully issued. Naruto didn't care about Sakura's anger, or rather, he didn't care about the little girl. At this moment, he was quietly feeling the 9 taels chakra in his body. I originally thought that after making a promise to Kyuubi, this reward would never appear again, but I didn't expect it to appear again 2 months later. The current control rate is a total of 6%. What does this mean? If I reach 100%, will I be able to completely control the current 9-tailed fox, or will the 9-tailed fox be integrated into myself and become a part of myself? While Naruto was thinking about this question, Sasuke captured the second hostile ninja alive. Urzuzi put his hands in his pockets, raised his mouth with an evil and crazy smile, and said in a boastful manner, "The battle is over, you can all come over." Well, Sasuke did very well this time. Kakashi walked out from the bushes and praised Sasuke so much that Sasuke's chin was almost raised to the sky with pride, but after waiting for a long time, he did not get any praise from Naruto or admiration from Sakura. Sasuke glanced at them casually, and Naruto looked completely indifferent, as if he was just beating up two insignificant punks. Sakura stared at Naruto, pouting in anger for a while, then smiling foolishly the next. No one knew what she was fantasizing about. Being ignored by the two people made Sasuke suddenly feel that it was not right to pretend. His face turned cold, and Sasuke looked into Naruto's eyes, snorting in his heart. Just continue to be lazy and make no progress in the land of women's gentleness, and I will surpass you sooner or later. After being tortured by Kakashi, the ninja captured alive by Sasuke told the truth. They were sent by the wealthy businessman Cardo to kill Danas. Afterwards, Danas admitted the truth and the authenticity of the incident, and then told the cause of the incident. The Kingdom of Waves is an island country surrounded by the sea. The waterways on all sides are their only source of economy. Cardo controls the waterways of the Kingdom of Waves and successfully controls the economic veins of the Kingdom of Waves, thereby exploiting the already poor people of the Kingdom of Waves. If the Wave Country wants to escape from Cardo's clutches, the only way is to build a bridge. But how could Cardo allow such a thing to happen? He will kill anyone who dares to cut off his source of wealth. Danas is Cardo's target, so Danas went to Konoha to ask for help. But he didn't have enough money, so he could only offer the price for a sea-level mission. After telling the story, Danas started to complain about his daughter and granddaughter. Sasuke and Sakura looked at the old man with contempt and wanted to beat him up. Well, there's really nothing we can do. Let's just continue to protect you. Kakashi scratched his head and decided to complete the mission. After all, he wanted to train Team 7 this time. It was not a good habit for Kakashi to retreat at the sight of a little danger. Naruto had no problem with this decision. If he really wanted to reject Danas, he could just do it when accepting the mission. This trip to the Land of Waves is actually an opportunity for Naruto. As long as Kakashi falls down in the same direction as before, Naruto can safely use the demon contract that he has kept for a long time. Chapter 20. The goal is to open a harem. After determining the next route, Kakashi simply sent the ninja sent by Cardo on the road. Then the five of them boarded a small boat at the ferry and quietly headed to the Land of Waves, which had been blocked by Cardo. Speaking of which, Naruto felt that Cardo was really stupid. He would rather spend a lot of money to hire ninjas to attack Danas than wait until they built the bridge and then by detonating talismans to blow up the bridge. Even if a few detonating talismans couldn't destroy it, a few hundred would at least be able to do it. They blow it up every time they finish repairing it, and try to do it a few times to see if anyone would still repair it. If they are worried about affecting their reputation, they can just hire outsiders to do it. As long as the price is high, there should be no problem in asking Konoha ninjas to do it. Why did they have to kill an old man who built a bridge? And why did they allow him to go to Konoha to hire ninjas? It's really strange that such a fool could become one of the richest businessmen in the world. Naruto kept staring at the sea while he was lost in thought. The longer he looked at the sea, the longer Sakura beside him stared at him. In Sakura's eyes, Naruto was filtered, with his short golden hair that reached over his eyebrows floating gently in the salty sea breeze. He just sat there quietly, looking at the distant scenery, and he became part of the scenery. Naruto is not only handsome now, but also good-looking. If you ask Sakura which boy she thinks is the best looking when they first become teammates, she will still waver between Sasuke and Naruto. But after a long time, Sakura can only think of Naruto. As if sensing someone mentioned him, Sasuke suddenly sneezed and sniffed. Sasuke looked at Naruto. Naruto, what are you thinking about? Sakura also wanted to know this question, so she pricked up her ears to listen. I wonder if I can become the richest man in the world with my business acumen. Naruto said seriously, rubbing his chin. Sasuke, who originally thought that he was thinking about ways to become stronger, suddenly felt bored. He said, boring, and continued to tilt his head to act cool. Kakashi was quite interested in this. But isn't your dream to be Hokage? Why do you want to be the richest man in the world? There doesn't seem to be a conflict between being the world's richest man and being the Hokage, Naruto said. Haha, young people have really ambitious goals, just like Obito back then. Kakashi nodded. That's true, but it's not easy to accomplish two grand goals at the same time. As long as he became the strongest person in the world, what goals would be difficult to achieve? He could even destroy Konoha village and rebuild a new one. Naruto smiled and kept these words deep in his heart. Naruto, why do you want to become the richest man in the world? Sakura was really curious. Why else would there be a reason? Naruto said with a smile, of course it's to satisfy my own desires, such as having 3 palaces, 6 courtyards, 72 concubines, and 3,000 beauties in the harem. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Sakura was stunned when she heard the reason. She turned her head away angrily and said, asshole Naruto, I don't want to talk to you anymore. After saying that, Sakura turned around and didn't look at Naruto, the annoying guy. What about the 3,000 beauties in his harem? It was really infuriating. Old man Danas almost laughed out loud when he heard this goal. Kakashi covered his forehead and thought. Obito, it's my fault. I shouldn't compare his dream with yours. Sasuke curled his lips in disdain. Tisk, what a meaningless and boring goal. Sakura, who had already been dissatisfied, followed up and said, that's right, Naruto's goal is the lowest level. Of course, one partner is enough. 3,000 is too greedy. Naruto glanced back at them, as Sasuke's promise to revitalize the Uchiha just empty talk. It's definitely not empty talk. When talking about this topic, Nijiru's eyes became sharp. I will definitely revitalize the Uchiha. Then what's the difference between your goal and mine? Naruto teased, do you think you can revitalize the Uchiha with just your hands? This time Danas really couldn't hold it back anymore and covered his mouth tightly to prevent himself from laughing. Kakashi, who was familiar with intimate paradise, blushed under his mask. He looked at Sasuke's hands and let out a tiny but strange laugh. Only Sasuke and Sakura did not understand what Naruto meant. Although they were precocious, their knowledge in this area was still limited to kissing and hugging. Sakura silently noted down this conversation and planned to ask her parents when she got home. Seeing Naruto and the two adults looking at him with strange eyes, Sasuke twisted his body uncomfortably and asked quietly, Naruto, what do you mean? Naruto said, literally. Sasuke felt that Kakashi was being perfunctory, so he turned around and asked Kakashi, Kakashi, please explain it to me, I don't understand. Kakashi coughed twice and said perfunctorily, children don't understand, so don't ask so many questions. You will understand naturally when you grow up. Naruto was amused. Kakashi learned all this experience from the intimate paradise. How could an old virgin who was almost 30 years old and had never been in a relationship have the nerve to laugh at Sasuke? The eldest brother makes fun of the second brother, but in fact, you two are almost the same. What's going on? Sasuke continued to ask, what riddles are you talking about? Because of Naruto's teasing, the somewhat solemn atmosphere along the way became cheerful, and everyone felt a lot more relaxed. Until they got ashore, no one answered this question for Sasuke. He was very confused. Why did everyone laugh at him? Besides, wasn't the revitalization of Uchiha relying on eyes and strength? It's weird why Naruto said that he revitalized the Uchiha with his hands. And Naruto has been observing his surroundings carefully since he came ashore, not missing any movement. The chance to use the devil's contract is today and he cannot miss it. At this moment, Naruto suddenly heard the sound of a blade cutting through the air. He quickly kicked Danas down, then bent down, hooking his arms around Sasuke and Sakura's necks. Enemy attack! Naruto shouted. Then a huge blade passed over their bodies and chopped down the tree opposite. The next moment, a strange man with a bare back and bandages stood on the blade. When Kakashi saw the beheading sword, he knew that things were going to be troublesome. If he had known that Cardo had asked such a vicious man to kill Danas, he would never have taken the risk of seeing him off. You three, get behind me and protect Mr. Danas. Kakashi decisively opened his hidden Sharingan, looked at the strange man in front of him, and reported the man's name, Mist Shadow Demon, Momochi Zabuza. Zabuza also called out Kakashi's nickname out of respect, Copy Ninja, Hitaki Kakashi. I didn't expect to see the legendary Sharingan so soon. Naruto was really impressed. What kind of mentality was it to introduce oneself before a fight and brag about each other's glorious achievements? If you want to fight, then fight. Why are you two talking so much about introducing each other's families? Are you two here for a blind date? As soon as he finished speaking, Naruto used the Nine Tails chakra to activate the instant body flickering technique, and with one hand he created a Rasengan and smashed it towards Zabuza's face with full power. Chapter 21. The Art of Reverse Harem. The Rasengan hit the blade of the beheading sword, and the loud sound was deafening. Naruto stared at the beheading sword in Zabuza's hand and thought, this sword is of really good quality. There's not even a scratch on it after the Rasengan hit it. I kind of want it. But now is obviously not the time to daydream. After one fight, Naruto knew that he was no match for Zabuza now, and this man still had to be dealt with by Kakashi. Zabuza swung his blade downwards, aiming directly at Naruto's lower body, intending to cut him in two. Naruto was startled and quickly jumped up and stepped on the blade, kicking hard with his legs to use the reverse thrust and retreating behind Kakashi. Blonde kid, you're quite powerful. You almost made me lose. As soon as he finished speaking, Zabuza raised his sword and attacked, but Kakashi was prepared and faster than him. He dived low to avoid the beheading sword and stabbed Zabuza's heart accurately with the kunai in his hand. But what flowed down was not blood, but water. Immediately afterwards, Zabuza's whole body melted into water, thick fog spread everywhere, and all the scenes disappeared in the fog. To describe it in one sentence, it was so dark that you couldn't see your hand in front of you. If there was someone here who had no perception ability, he might not even know how he died in the next second. And along with the fog was seemingly endless murderous aura, which was so strong that it could affect people's minds. Even Naruto had to use the Nine Tails chakra to spread it throughout his meridians to avoid being affected by the murderous intent. But Sasuke and Sakura were in a miserable state. Sakura's eyes were blurry and she had lost her ability to fight. Sasuke was still conscious, but his irresistible consciousness was the most fatal. In fear, he raised a kunai and wanted to end his life. The fog was so thick that nothing could be seen. Naruto noticed that something was wrong with Sasuke and Sakura from the subtle sounds. He clapped his hands and summoned shadow clones, which released chakra to impact the surroundings, dispersing the fog and restoring their consciousness. Before the fog dissipated, Naruto took advantage of the loud noise of his clone releasing chakra and quietly hid in the nearby bushes. You think you can hide, little brat? It's all over. A horrible sound appeared behind him, and the speed was so fast that Naruto's clone almost couldn't react and was about to be split in half. Kakashi arrived at some point and protected Naruto's clone and Sakura and Sasuke in time. He even raised his kunai and pierced Zabuza's head before Zabuza could swing his sword. Unfortunately, it was another water clone. Sakura and Sasuke also retreated to the sides at this time to avoid being affected by the fight between Kakashi and Zabuza. As for the bridge-building expert Danas, he was so frightened that he almost pissed himself, and was trembling so hard that he couldn't even speak. The real Naruto breathed a sigh of relief in the bushes. After all the trouble with the mist-hidden demon, he was blinded by the mist-hidden technique. He was probably trained since childhood to rely on sound to judge the direction. He had clearly heard of Kakashi's Sharingan, but he still consumed chakra to create a thick fog, which ended up giving Kakashi, who had the Sharingan, an advantage. I don't know if he was too confident or just too smart. If it weren't for the pressure of having 3 students with him, Kakashi would probably be laughing even if he fought with him. One is Kato and the other is Zabuza. No wonder the two would meet each other. It turns out they are Crouching Dragon and Phoenix Chick. Unfortunately, the fog is still thick, and the other party can't see the seduction technique, so it has no effect. While Naruto was quietly waiting for the opportunity, Zabuza and Kakashi fought again. This time, Zabuza seemed to realize that he was at a disadvantage in the fog, so he did not create thick fog, and gradually the fog became much thinner. Zabuza and Kakashi are now evenly matched in strength. Kakashi has to fight Zabuza while worrying that Zabuza will suddenly attack his students again. Naruto is okay. Kakashi believes that with Naruto's strength, he will have no problem escaping. It's just that Sasuke and Sakura put a lot of pressure on him, and they may die if he isn't careful. Zabuza was not having a good time either. He not only had to deal with Kakashi, who was equally powerful, but also had to deal with the occasional harassment from the three little brats. Especially that blonde kid, who left a shadow clone on the battlefield. No one knows where his real body ran off to, so we have to be on the lookout for his sneak attacks at any time. I didn't expect killing a bridge builder would be so stressful. Ding! Passive selection triggered. A cold reminder sound rang in Naruto's ears, and Naruto distracted himself to look at the text in front of him. You just escaped from Zabuza's sword, but you are targeted by another person. No one cares about your side in the main battlefield. The threat of the kind but ruthless ice killer is at your side. What choice will you make? Choice 1. Stay friendly. Pretend nothing happened and stay still. Completion reward 10,000 taels. Choice 2. Treat it rationally. Go to the main battlefield to call for help from Sasuke and Sakura, and defeat by together. Completion reward fire release, great fireball technique. Choice 3. Act recklessly. Defeat by alone, then trample him under your feet to humiliate him and punish him harshly. Completion reward buys corruption value is 25%. Choice 4. Ruthless. No need to say anything, just kill him. Completion reward Big Ball Rasengan. Question mark question mark question mark. White. It turned out that it had been prepared nearby a long time ago. Naruto remained calm and observed his surroundings silently, without noticing any movement. It must be said that Haku was much more cautious than Zabuza. Zabuza and Kakashi were fighting in full swing, but Naruto had not made any move. Just waiting for Zabuza to save people in case he loses, right? We have to find a way to lure that person out. At this time, the battle between Kakashi and Zabuza has reached a climax. Except for the center of their battle, most of the fog has dissipated, and the selector just prompted that Bai is now staring at him. Naruto rolled his eyes and the corners of his mouth turned up. Ninjutsu, the technique of reversing the harem. The reverse harem technique is included in the perfect version of the seduction technique. Naruto doesn't know how effective this technique is against the enemy, but it must be shocking. The next moment, three shirtless handsome men suddenly appeared in the bushes, throwing seductive glances around. Almost at the same time, two coughs were heard from the fifth tree in the southeast direction. Although the sound stopped quickly, Naruto still heard it. After unlocking the reverse harem technique, Naruto immediately chased in that direction. When Naruto jumped up, Sasuke and Sakura realized that Naruto, who had fought alongside them to resist Zabuza's occasional harassment, was actually just a clone. This guy Naruto is just a clone, is his strength so exaggerated? Sasuke's eyes widened and his pupils shrank as he watched Naruto's shadow clone, who occasionally launched a Rasengan to hit Zabuza on the battlefield. No wonder Naruto didn't say anything when I defeated those two ninjas. It turns out he didn't care about those small fry at all. When I said I wanted to defeat him, did that just seem like a joke to him? Sasuke swallowed unwillingly and fell into deep confusion. Kakashi and Zabuza, who were in the battle, also noticed Naruto's actions. Kakashi was horrified and thought that Naruto must have discovered that there were other enemies. There was an additional layer of pressure. Kakashi now regretted very much why he had brought Team 7 here in such a pretentious manner after knowing that the mission level did not meet the requirements. If the enemy that Naruto detected was strong enough, not to mention the three disciples, even he might die here. Could it be that Bai has been discovered? Zabuza saw Naruto chasing after him and chuckled, "Kakashi, your blonde disciple actually dared to chase after him. He's going to be in trouble. It seems we have to end this quickly." Kakashi took a deep breath and his expression became more solemn. Chapter 22 Devil's Contract. The bright green leaves swayed in the wind, rustling everywhere in the forest. Naruto chased by all the way to an open space on the seashore. This place was some distance away from the battlefield between Kakashi and Zabuza. There was no fog around and the sun was shining brightly. At this moment, the masked Bai gave up on moving away and turned to look at Naruto, who was chasing him. "You were unlucky, but you can also say you were lucky." Bai's voice was cold and Naruto could not quite understand the meaning of his words, but it seemed that everyone in this world had a common problem. If you want to fight, just fight. Before the fight, you have to explain why you are fighting and tell your opponent clearly why you are doing this. Completely ignoring the fact that Naruto was his enemy, he continued to explain, "You are unlucky because I didn't intend to take action, but you found out, so I had to take action. Fortunately, you will have a good sleep later, and when you wake up, you will return to Konoha alone." Now Naruto understood. What Bai meant was that he didn't want to kill anyone, but you forced me to do it. You mean you don't want to kill me? Then I have to thank you very much. Naruto said as he put his hand into the ninja tool bag. Bai nodded and said calmly, "I'm sorry, but since Mr. Zabuza is there, I can't let your companions go. Please sleep here for a day." "Oh, you have a good heart, but you seem to be underestimating your own strength, right?" Naruto nodded as if he suddenly realized something, then he changed his attitude in an instant and pulled out 3 shurikens from his ninja tool mark and shot them at Bai. Too overrated. As soon as he finished speaking, Naruto formed a Rasengan with one hand at lightning speed, and just like when he launched a surprise attack on Zabuza before, he once again used the flickering technique to move at high speed towards Bai. Ninjas are extremely particular about speed, accuracy and ruthlessness. Naruto's attack is fast, but Haku, who has been fighting with Zabuza for many years, is also very fast. Ice Escape, Binyantangu. Before Naruto's attack arrived, Bai first formed a hand seal to create a 1-meter thick ice wall, successfully blocking Naruto's Rasengan, but the ice wall was also pierced by the Rasengan, which surprised Bai. When watching this move from a distance before, even the beheading sword didn't do any damage. Bai thought it wasn't very powerful, but it turned out to be so terrifying. What ninjutsu is this? You talk too much. In the blink of an eye, Naruto was already behind Bai and threw another Rasengan with his backhand. Humph, you're not the only one who can teleport. Bai formed a seal with one hand, and retreated 4 or 5 steps in an instant, then reached back with both hands, and 6,000 fine needles appeared out of nowhere and were thrown back at Naruto. The speed was too fast. Naruto tried to dodge sideways as quickly as possible, but the shot still pierced the sleeve of his clothes. Secret technique, 1,000 killings water flying. When Naruto rolled over to dodge, Bai on the opposite side once again formed a seal with one hand, gathering the surrounding water vapor and turning it all into tiny needles. The number of them was enough to make people with trypophobia feel numb. This move is a bit like the heavy rain of pear blossom needles that Naruto has seen in movies and TV dramas. You'd better not move, otherwise I can't guarantee that I won't be able to hit your fatal point. Bai thought he was giving a friendly reminder and then brazenly launched a secret technique, and countless needles shot towards Naruto. It's like a tadpole running towards a big ball. This move seems scary, and it is indeed scary. But Naruto was not panicked at all, he was waiting for this moment. Scorching escape, scorching arm. Suddenly, Naruto's right hand started to burn, and it looked like a terrifying red flame. The temperature was so high that it instantly burned Naruto's right sleeve. Even clothes could not withstand the temperature, let alone the needle formed by moisture. Each tiny Senbon needle was evaporated by the extremely high temperature before it even got close to Naruto. Scorch release, as a fusion of fire release and wind release, the best auxiliary of fire release, has a temperature much higher than the other 2 bloodline limits, melting release and boiling release. Your tiny needle is quite powerful, but it's obvious that my Kylin arm is much more terrifying. As he said this, Naruto had already arrived in front of Bai, with his 5 fingers forming a 3-clawed dragon gesture, and grabbed towards Bai's face. I underestimated the enemy. He actually has a bloodline limit. In addition to being shocked, Bai was horrified to find that he seemed unable to escape. The opponent was too close and he didn't have time to use the teleportation technique. I'm sorry, Mr. Zabuza, I can't go over and help you. The final moment has arrived. Bai closed his eyes and prepared to face his own death. However, at this time, the temperature felt on the face dropped suddenly, and what came into contact with the face was just an ordinary fist with great force and power. Ah tilde. Bai couldn't help but scream out in pain after being knocked to the ground by a punch. The mask on her face was also cracked, revealing her face. She looked about 15 or 16 years old, with skin as white as fat, plump pink lips, a small and delicate nose, and a hint of melancholy between her 2 slender eyebrows. She didn't understand why Naruto let her go. Didn't he also like killing people? He was such a kind-hearted little boy. Just as she was thinking this, Naruto suddenly stepped on her head and taunted her, saying, "Tisk tisk tisk, that's it, that's it. Weren't you so awesome that you didn't want to kill me just now?" Bai's face was trampled and buried in the soil, his mind full of shock. Naruto's humiliation did not end there however, as the selector had not yet handed out its reward. Why don't you stop bragging? After losing to me, you don't even have the courage to speak. The mud smelled so bad, and I buried my white head in the soil. I felt a surge of suffocation in my heart, and thought to myself, if you want me to talk, you should let go of your feet. There is dirt in my mouth, what can I say? I can't even open my mouth, what can I say? What a cheap man, know what's going on. What's this feeling tilde? Suddenly, Bai, who was being stepped on the head and humiliated, suddenly felt that it was a bit comfortable to be stepped on for some reason. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing option 3. The reward white corruption value 25% has been successfully issued. Naruto felt relieved when he heard the sound. Although he didn't know what the depravity value was, it sounded like something that would affect the other party. In order to prevent any accidents, Naruto decided to check it out to see what it was. Depravity value. A single effect that the owner has on the host. When the depravity value reaches 100%, the owner will regard the host as the center of the world. Note: the probability of this reward appearing is less than 1%. It will be more effective if used in conjunction with other rewards. Naruto frowned. From reading between the lines, he felt a very perverted sense of déjà vu. If it can be used in conjunction with other rewards, that would just suit Naruto's wishes. Originally, Naruto was going to use the demon contract on Sasuke, but he didn't dare to use it in Konoha for fear of any unusual movements. After leaving Konoha, he was always around Kakashi. Now that he has found Bai who has the ability of ice escape, it seems not bad. They are both geniuses, and Bai's current strength is much stronger than Sasuke. For Naruto, Bai is more useful for the time being. Devil's Contract, activate. Devil's Contract destroyed. Contract space established successfully. Pulling in the creature defeated by the host. The host recently defeated a woman. The target, Bai, was pulled in successfully, close black lens bracket. Chapter 23 Death of Naruto. Almost in an instant, the sky and the earth in front of Naruto were shrouded in endless darkness, and the world exuded a series of negative auras such as depravity, temptation, greed, etc. Soon after, black mist began to float around Naruto, and he seemed to have merged with this world. Every movement he made and every sound he made had the effect of evoking negative emotions in his heart. Gradually, a cold flame ignited in this space, and a ball of light appeared directly opposite him. The source of the light was Bai, who was pulled into this space because he was defeated. I emit black smoke and she emits light, it's interesting. Naruto looked down at his own body, a smile appeared on the corner of his lips, and he murmured, "The fallen in the abyss dragged the humans who radiate light and heat into darkness." This understanding should be correct, right? What's going on? Wasn't I stepped on by that little boy from Konoha? Why are you here all of a sudden? Bai stood there, looking around blankly. Don't panic. Okay. As soon as he opened his mouth, Naruto discovered that his voice had changed, as if it had been tinged with a demonic charm. Hearing the voice, Bai finally realized that she was not the only one here. She looked in the direction of the sound and saw that the little boy who had just fought with her was also there. It was too dark and quiet here that she had not noticed him just now. This brat not only stepped on my head, but also humiliated me. I must teach him a lesson. Bai was very angry about what Naruto had just done, and she immediately circulated her chakra to prepare to fight the enemy. However, she suddenly discovered that in this completely unfamiliar dark space, she had no chakra in her body at all. How is this going? Humans are afraid of the unknown. Even Bai, who had faced death calmly before, is the same. Without his original strength, no one's mentality can be very good. Bai swallowed and asked cautiously, Konoha's ninja, did you use some powerful illusion? How should I tell her? Naruto thought about it carefully. The rules stated that whether Bai signed a contract with him or not, the devil contract would be destroyed in the end. In other words, as long as Bai did not agree, all his efforts would be in vain. Therefore, the signing of the devil's contract should probably not be discussed. No, I don't bother to use illusions. Naruto shook his head. Besides, if I wanted to kill you, I would have killed you long ago. Why would I use an illusion on you? Do you think you are qualified? Bai frowned and thought for a moment and felt that what Naruto said made sense. Although she underestimated the enemy and didn't fight seriously, she still lost. If Naruto really wanted to kill her, she would have died just now. Then what is this place? Why are you and I here? This is my space. You can understand me as the creator of this space, or you can call me the god here. At this moment, Naruto's voice, with the blessing of space, was extremely convincing, making Bai involuntarily want to believe him, but Naruto was a hostile ninja he had just fought. Bai decisively twisted his thigh hard to keep himself conscious. As far as I know, there are no real gods in this world. The legendary immortals are actually just the most powerful ninjas. I didn't bring you in here to make you believe. It doesn't matter to me whether you believe it or not. Naruto stared at her with a big smile on his face. I only have one question for you, do you want Zabuza to live? Mr. Zabuza. He adopted Bai when he was a child. He is both Bai's teacher and father to him. He can also be said to be Bai's only weakness in this world. And now, Zabuza is still fighting with the Konoha ninjas, but she is trapped in this place and cannot go over to help. After a moment of immersion, Bai said, Mr. Zabuza will not lose. Naruto laughed, and laughed happily, because he saw the panic on Bai's face and the trace of cold sweat oozing from his forehead. The laughter aroused the panic in Bai's heart. She unconsciously looked at Naruto and asked nervously, what are you laughing at? As expected, he was just being stubborn, but in fact, he was probably in a state of panic inside. Naruto's eyes revealed a hint of sarcasm. Where on earth do you get your confidence from? If I hadn't stopped just now, you would have been dead. Now you want to use your blind confidence to kill Zabuza. Bai didn't know how to refute Naruto's words. Naruto first blamed her for Zabuza's responsibility, which had not yet happened. For a moment, she forgot to stay awake. At this time, Naruto's words were like a magic sound lingering in her ears. Mr. Zabuza will die. Because I was too conceited. Gradually, Bai's mind was filled with these two sentences. She covered her head and tried not to think about it, but she couldn't stop. I'll ask you one last time. Do you want Zabuza to live? As long as you sign a contract with me, I can help you save him. What contract am I waiting for? Let me think about it. Seeing that Bai was still hesitating, Naruto asked one last question. Or did you want Zabuza to die anyway? No, the white brain buzzed, and then retorted, I haven't thought about it that way. Naruto smiled with satisfaction. At this moment, Bai seemed to be bending over and raising her hips in front of him. Since you don't want him to die, then sign this contract. Naruto raised his hand, and a black mist gathered in front of Bai, and finally the black mist turned into a paper contract. As long as you sign it and become my sole servant, I will not only help you save Zabuza, but I will also grant you a special curse power. Save Mr. Zabuza. Bai lowered her head slightly, her long straight black hair scattered on the contract. In the darkness, the light from her body made her already beautiful face look exceptionally beautiful. But not long after, the light emanating from Bai disappeared, and the two returned to reality from the dark world. Ding! Servant. Bai's corruption value increases to 40%. The devil contract was signed successfully, close black lens bracket. On the other side, Kakashi's battle with Zabuza was almost over as a large amount of chakra was consumed. After fighting for a while, the two men have figured out each other's strength. Overall, Kakashi is slightly better. If the two continue to fight, Kakashi will be the winner. But at this time Zabuza laughed out loud several times. The blonde ghost clone disappeared. It seems that the original body is dead, Kakashi. Just wait for my people to come. All of you will die here today. Kakashi covered his aching Sharingan and gasped, his face full of worry. Naruto, did you lose? The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki was killed outside by his team. It was too late for Kakashi to regret now. If he had known this would happen, he should not have been so rash to agree to Danaza's request. Sakura and Sasuke, who were watching the battle from a distance, also heard Zabuza's words and were stunned. Sasuke couldn't believe that Naruto, whom he wanted to challenge, would be killed so easily by others. If Naruto died, then the next enemy would arrive, and their Team 7 would all be buried here. Teacher Kakashi, what he said is false, right? Sakura's lips trembled and she asked Kakashi loudly. Kakashi did not answer her question, but said, Sakura, Sasuke, don't be afraid, I will definitely protect you. The meaning between the words is self-evident. Kakashi acknowledged Naruto's death. Naruto. Sakura only felt a buzzing in her ears, her face turned pale, and her eyes became confused. I just realized that I had feelings for you, why did you die? Chapter 24 Side Effects of the Contract. Kakashi had no energy to care about Sakura and Sasuke's feelings. He just wanted to quickly deal with Zabuza before the hostile ninja who killed Naruto arrived, and then take Sakura and Sasuke back to Konoha to ask for support. He is already to blame for Naruto's death, and he doesn't know how the third Hokage will punish him. If Sasuke, the Uchiha orphan, dies again, then Kakashi can only die to atone for his sin. Zabuza was in a much more relaxed mood. At this moment, both he and Kakashi were in extremely low conditions. Any powerful Chunin could kill them both. As long as we can delay until Bai comes over, there will be no suspense in this battle. Suddenly, Kakashi half knelt on the ground with his hands covering his Sharingan. The sudden opportunity made Zabuza's eyes widen. He quickly seized the opportunity and made hand seals to kill Kakashi. However, at this moment, he just saw Kakashi, who was half kneeling, suddenly changed back to a standing position, and made the same seal with his hand. Illusion, when? Zabuza was stunned for a second, and in that second he lost. A water dragon bullet hit him directly, pushing him and breaking several trees in succession. It must be said that those who can become Jonin have very strong vitality. Even so, Zabuza is not dead yet, but he has lost his fighting ability. It's over, Zabuza. Kakashi raised his kunai and walked towards Zabuza with his exhausted body. He wanted to kill Zabuza and then run away, otherwise if Zabuza recovered and caught up with him, he would be in danger again. There were footsteps in the forest, and Kakashi was horrified, and he shouted quickly, Sakura Sasuke, don't worry about anything, just run. It's useless. I can't run away. I might as well give it a try. Sasuke panted, pulled out a kunai from his ninja tool bag and stared at the place where the sound came from. His eyes had turned into scarlet double Magatama Sharingan at some point. Maybe he himself hasn't noticed it yet, because he is also very tired. After Naruto's shadow clone disappeared, Zabuza's water clone directly beat him up. That feeling of powerlessness made him feel as if he had returned to the night a few years ago when his entire clan was slaughtered by that madman Uchiha Itachi. He was angry and scared, but there was nothing he could do. Sakura's condition was even worse, her eyes were wet, and it seemed like something was blocking her throat, so she couldn't even speak. Kakashi, even a child understands this principle, but you don't. Zabuza laughed arrogantly, they are just two little genin. They can't run away. You all must die today. Teacher, Rin, Obito, I am indeed a piece of trash. I brought them here knowing that there was danger. Kakashi lowered his head, and in this desperate atmosphere, he also remained silent. The cold wind was biting, the leaves were drooping and swaying aimlessly, and a few crows were crying in the sky, as if the death knell for Class 7 had been sounded. Hey, it should be you who should be the one to die. Suddenly, a lazy and familiar clear voice of a young man reached the ears of everyone present. I saw a blue-eyed boy with short golden hair, kicking stones lazily and slowly walking out of the woods. Kakashi. Sasuke. Sakura. If Zabuza's bandages could be untied, one would definitely see that his mouth was wide open, as surprised as can be. Could it be that the winner was the blonde kid, not Bai? Then what about Bai? Was he killed? In an instant, Zabuza didn't know why, but he felt endless grief and anger in his heart. He wanted to kill this kid and avenge Bai. Just as everyone was stunned, a man with a mask with the Mist Shadow logo engraved on it suddenly walked out from beside Naruto. It was none other than Bai, the man he had been thinking about. Bai, why are you with this brat? Zabuza couldn't believe what he saw, and he really wanted to ask Bai what was going on. But before he had a chance to speak, Bai raised 3 thin needles and shot them into Zabuza's neck. Zabuza fell to the ground immediately. Naruto, aren't you dead? The moment Sakura saw Naruto, tears couldn't stop flowing. She stumbled towards Naruto, opened her arms and wanted to hug him. Are you cursing me now? Naruto's mouth twitched. He dodged her and retorted, a pair of aces, you're the one who's going to die. When Bai saw the two of them arguing, his brows under the mask couldn't help but frown. Wow, you can still curse, you really are the real Naruto. Sakura wiped her tears excitedly. What is a pair of A's curse, why don't I understand? Naruto sighed speechlessly, ignored Sakura, raised his hand and introduced Shiro to Sasuke and Kakashi, who still had their eyes open and looked cautious. This is the kind-hearted ninja I just met. She helped me deal with Zabuza's men. Hearing this, Sasuke and Kakashi's tense nerves finally relaxed, especially Kakashi, who almost fell to his knees. I am a pursuit ninja from the Hidden Mist Village. Today I have the opportunity to kill the rebel ninja Momochi Zabuza, thanks to all of you for your help. Thank you. Bai placed his right hand in front of his heart and thanked everyone in Team 7. It's okay. Clearing out the rebellious ninjas is what all 5 of our ninja villages should do. Kakashi pretended to be nothing and walked to Zabuza's side. He put his hand on his neck and said, well, he's dead. You can take him away. It is good. Bai nodded, then inexplicably turned to look at Naruto, then took a few steps forward to stand in front of Naruto. Naruto blinked in confusion, wondering if Shiro had something else to tell him. Then, in front of everyone, with the rest of Team 7 watching, Shiro hugged Naruto tightly. Shiro is taller than Naruto, and Naruto's chin almost reaches Shiro's shoulder. See you next time, Naruto-kun. Bai's voice trembled slightly, like notes floating in the wind, a very pleasant girl's voice. So it was just a farewell. Then say goodbye to her. After all, she is my first servant. Feeling the softness coming from her collarbone and the faint fragrance from her neck that entered his nose, Naruto nodded and said, well, bye. Sasuke froze. Kakashi was confused. Sakura yelled, hey, what are you doing? Let him go. Haha, I don't really want to relax, but I really should go. After saying that, Bai let go of Naruto, grabbed Zabuza's body with one hand and disappeared into the mist. Using the instant body flickering technique, Bai took off her mask while running quickly. Her face was already red to her ears. What a shame. Why did I say goodbye to him like this? Bai didn't know why she was like this, but when she saw the pink-haired girl wanting to hug Naruto, an evil voice emerged in her heart. Beckon her to hug, to get close, to fight for. Is this a side effect of the contract? P.S. Please read on, please vote for the monthly ticket, please vote for the recommendation. Whether I can be recommended depends on the reader's reading in the past few days. The little author is begging for it. Chapter 25. The shackles will finally be cut off. Because it is surrounded by the sea, there is heavy fog in the morning in Wave Country. Insects, birds and clouds are all enjoying the tranquility of the early morning. The sunlight penetrates the clouds and shines on Naruto, as if he is the fascinating light. Sakura sat on the steps in front of Danaza's house, staring blankly at Naruto, who was walking towards the distance, and was a little dazed for a moment. The careful Uchiha Sasuke noticed blood on Naruto's arm and asked with narrowed eyes, "Naruto, you went out to fight someone?" "Yeah." Naruto did not deny. "I dealt with a few insignificant trash." The conversation between the two brought Sakura back to her senses. She hurriedly ran to Naruto and asked, "Where are you hurt? Let me bandage you." "No, this is not my blood." Naruto shook his head and sat down in a random place, as Kakashi-sensei still not awake. Hearing this, Sasuke and Sakura were silent for a while. Kakashi was too tired and had slept for a whole day but still showed no signs of waking up. The coma of the team leader made Sakura and Sasuke extremely uneasy. They wanted to leave here and return to Konoha as soon as possible, but Naruto said that the most dangerous place is the safest place, and they should stay here and wait for Kakashi to wake up. Sasuke disagreed with this point of view, but he couldn't beat Naruto, so he could only obey orders. "Why didn't you call me?" Sasuke asked Naruto with a cold and serious look in his eyes. "Do you also think I'm too weak and look down on my strength?" Naruto blinked in confusion. To be honest, he didn't quite understand what was going on in Hashira's mind at the moment and why he looked down on him. Is this a case of the young man's second-year syndrome? "Sasuke, what are you talking about? How could Naruto be like that?" Sakura tried to smooth things over. The cool morning breeze blew across his face, and Sasuke's pupils turned scarlet. His double Magatama Sharingan was already activated. After feeling the despair and helplessness once again yesterday, and under the great stimulation, Sasuke was now able to use the Sharingan normally. Sasuke stared at Naruto and said, "Come and fight me again, Naruto. This time I will prove that I am definitely not that weak." His expression was too serious and Naruto suddenly laughed out loud. "Come on." Naruto accepted Sasuke's challenge. He also wanted to try out the strength of Sasuke with double Magatama. The two of them started running towards the open space ahead at the same time. Xiaoying's expression turned a little ugly, and she shouted, "Stop fighting, both of you." However, she couldn't influence either of them. Especially Sasuke. The last time he was knocked unconscious and hospitalized by Naruto has been engraved on his pillar of shame. Yesterday, Naruto fought the enemy with ease, but his performance was unsatisfactory. These two things made Sasuke feel extremely disappointed, but fortunately he found that he could control the Sharingan normally last night, which made Sasuke happier. Sharingan Sasuke brings a lot of confidence. The genius of the Uchiha clan will never lose again. Naruto, do you know why the Uchiha clan is so rich in geniuses? Stop talking. How come you have developed this bad habit? The time you spent talking is enough to kill a few more enemies. Sasuke wanted to brag to Naruto about the Uchiha clan, but was interrupted by Naruto. Naruto now felt that this was what annoyed him the most. It was really noisy. Don't people here know that villains die because they talk too much? Tisk. Sasuke spat in dissatisfaction, then rushed towards Naruto with all his strength. Not only has your strength increased, your speed increased, but every one of your movements seems to be in slow motion in my eyes. Naruto, this is the power of the Uchiha clan's Sharingan. In this round, we are evenly matched. Trouble. Naruto yawned and rolled up his sleeves. He only brought 3 sets of clothes this time to the land of waves, and he couldn't let them get damaged again. Damn it! Sasuke was annoyed by Naruto's carelessness, so he sped up and ran to Naruto, swinging his right fist back at Naruto. Naruto, you will pay for your contempt. Sasuke's lips curled up, and he seemed to see the hope of victory in excitement. He thought it would be a battle of equal strength, but he didn't expect Naruto to be so careless. It seems that today is the day to avenge himself. Naruto, get out of the way. Sakura shouted loudly to remind Naruto. In an instant, Naruto raised his right hand to block in front of him. His right arm from the elbow to the fist turned red in an instant, and violent heat emanated from his arm and rushed straight to Sasuke's face. The black hair was slightly curled up by the heat, and Sasuke's pupils shrank slightly. At this moment, he seemed to have seen death. He rushed over with all his speed, and the inertia of his body was no longer something he could stop. Finished. This was Sasuke's last thought. At this time, Naruto suddenly dodged to the side and kicked Sasuke in the waist swiftly and fiercely, sending him flying. Young man, no matter how powerful you are, you must leave room for breaking, otherwise you will die miserably. Naruto clapped his hands, looked at Sasuke who fell against the wall after being kicked, and said with a smile, "Not bad, he has become much stronger, and he really deserves the name of a genius." He was sincerely praising Sasuke, and the level of the second pillar was improving rapidly, which was visibly visible to the naked eye. However, this compliment sounded like a great humiliation to Sasuke. How can it be repaired? The pain in his waist and the depressed mood came together, and Sasuke yelled and pounded his head on the ground. Another move. He defeated me with just one move. What is this? I am so weak, when will I be able to seek revenge on Uchiha Itachi? Must become stronger. Sasuke grabbed his collar and yelled at Naruto, "Next time, I will definitely beat you, absolutely." "Okay, I'll wait for you." Naruto raised the corners of his lips and added in his heart, "My devil contract and I are waiting for you, the genius who becomes stronger the fastest, the genius who needs power the most, Uchiha Sasuke. Well, it's time to complete the quests and get what I want as soon as possible. When my strength and power have reached a certain level, no one in Konoha will be able to restrain me. The wind, born free, will never be bound by anything. The shackles that intend to bind me will eventually be cut off by me." Inside the mansion, Cardo looked at the bodies of more than 20 wandering warriors in the hall with tears in his eyes, and knelt down in front of Bai, who was wearing a mask in front of him with a plop. "Master Ninja, please spare my life. I will listen to whatever you say and do. Please be kind and let me go." Cardo kept begging for mercy. Bai looked around. She didn't kill these people. She just received a summons from Naruto to take over the place. As for why, Bai didn't ask. She thought Naruto would naturally say it when he wanted to. Bai raised her hand and opened her arm. There was a word, "Yi," on her arm. According to Naruto, this thing is called the Soul Seal. It can not only greatly enhance her strength, but also establish a long-distance connection between the two parties. Gently touching the one, Bai asked softly, "Master Naruto, Kato begs for mercy. Should I spare him? Kill him and you take his place." As ordered. Cardo was a bastard who bullied ordinary people and did all kinds of evil things. After receiving Naruto's order, Bai acted ruthlessly and stabbed a needle into his forehead. A generation of evil businessmen died here. P.S. Please read on, please read on, please read on. Important things should be said 3 times.